Chapter 266. I want to challenge the two of you alone. As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned. Then they went crazy. They simply didn't know what Jiangli was talking about. Wang Rilai was the first to be shocked. Jiangli, what are you talking about? Back off. Jiangli's body didn't move at all, but a shapeless airflow lifted the people around him. Then this aura expanded. Wang Rilai also kept retreating, unable to get close to Jiangli. Little B Asterisk starred. How dare you? At this moment, both Gue Junzi and Jiang Hailong were so angry that they almost exploded. Even Gue Junzi, who was a gentleman, was so angry that his face turned red. This was simply too daring. A student challenging a tutor was in itself disrespectful and treacherous. Chongding challenging the embryonic breathing realm was like throwing an egg against a rock. Moreover, what Jiangli had said was that he was fighting against the two of them alone. What did this mean? There were many students present, and some tutors were also present. Hearing this, they were all shocked. It was as if a hornet's nest had been poked. They simply couldn't believe their ears. Too daring, too daring. What is he saying? Challenging Jiang Hailong and Gue Junzi alone? These two tutors are experts in the embryonic breathing realm. Does he think that Chongding can defeat them? Chongding is still a human, and the embryonic breathing realm is an immortal, a cultivator. Hee, there's a good show to watch. This Jiang Li is simply amazing. He's like his tutor, Hong Heiyu. He's not afraid of anything. With just this bit of heroism, he has already surpassed Hong Heiyu. This is foolishness. He's seeking his own death. Any expert in the embryonic breathing realm can crush him. Why is he so foolish? Let's watch. This is a good show. What does it have to do with us? I think Jiang Hailong will definitely not let him go. His crime has increased again. Provocation has become a terrorist act. I wonder if there will be a fight. Gue Junzi and Jiang Hailong have no choice but to fight. What law? Our Starry Sky University is actually a military school famous for its bravery. As long as you have the ability, this is nothing. Then let's take a look. Not everyone can use the law to force students. Countless discussions broke out, and the number of onlookers increased. Many students were discussing loudly. Originally, the students of Starry Sky University were like fierce tigers. Each and every one of them was a heaven's chosen. When they saw Jiang Li's actions, they instinctively agreed with him and loudly praised him, as if wanting the world to be in chaos. However, Jiang Li did not care about these voices at all. His eyes locked onto Gue Junzi and Jiang Hailong. Little bastard, I'll kill you today. Jiang Hailong finally couldn't take it anymore. Faced with Jiang Li's provocation, he was completely enraged. A powerful energy appeared behind him, and a half-human, half-dragon Saint Fetus let out a long roar. This roar resounded through the clouds, and it could split metal and stone. Its aura spread out, sending many of the spectating students flying. Chain of 9 kills. He grabbed with his 5 fingers, and energy condensed, blasting towards Jiang Li like a cannonball. At the same time, 9 white rings appeared in the air. They were energy rings, and each energy ring was a blade wheel that could cut, seal, and trap. This was a divine ability martial art, the chain of 9 kills. Once it was used, even a battleship would not be able to withstand it. Break for me, Jiang Li rushed out, and with a loud rumble, he was like a human-shaped Tyrannosaurus, or an ancient astral beast. He punched out, and the fist aura directly broke the 9 energy rings. Bang, 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 bang. Countless sounds of explosions rang out. Jiang Li punched out continuously, and wherever his punches went, a path would be opened up. No energy could stop his punches. Water, fire, wind, lightning. He used one move and 4 styles, and each style contained millions of variations. He used martial arts to resist divine abilities and strength to break the shackles. His entire body was incomparably tough, and with 1 palm strike, a storm rose. 2 palm strikes, thunder raged. 3 palm strikes, heavenly fire ignited. 4 palm strikes, flood waves surged. In an instant, all the energy from his moves were destroyed by Jiang Li. In an instant, he rushed to Jiang Hailong's side, and his palm pressed down like a huge mountain. With Jiangli at the center, countless air currents shook in the air, condensing into the shape of a mountain, and came crashing down. It could destroy and crush everything. What? Jiang Hailong was shocked. He circulated his divine ability and almost couldn't breathe. He had never expected that his divine ability would be broken and that Jiangli would kill him. With the penetrative ability of this physical body, it could definitely tear his body apart, and even his sane embryo. Heavenly King Protection Curse. Without hesitation, the energy around him immediately went berserk, condensing into densely packed incantations, and the incantations condensed into a suit of armor. This was the transformation of the Sun-Moon King Curse. In times of danger, with a single thought, the incantation would protect him, and no evil could invade. Break for me! Jiang Li's huge palm had already reached the incantation armor. The path of the cursed Tao, ever-changing, using a curse to break a curse, reversing life and death. Bang, 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 as his palm slammed down, it was ever-changing. He had actually comprehended the circulation of the incantation, and with one palm strike, he broke the structure of the incantation. Wah! The entire protective incantation was destroyed, and Jiang Hailong felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He fell to the ground, coughing up blood. He had been injured by Jiang Li, evil creature. At this instant, Gue Junzi attacked. He had wanted to watch, but he didn't expect that Jiang Hailong would fail in an instant. His mystic art was broken by a single palm strike, and he coughed up blood. He was shocked and angry. He immediately attacked, and with a point of his finger, sword qi filled the sky. This was the sword Tao, the ultimate sword Tao, and it could destroy everything. Each sword was extremely heavy, and it could easily destroy a battleship. A majestic river of sword qi was about to drown Jiang Li in the blink of an eye. Jiang Li suddenly roared, turned around, and punched out. One fist raises beacon smoke. As he punched, all the air currents were like billowing smoke, rushing out, and colliding with the river of sword qi. The sound of metal clashing could be heard, and boundless flames could be seen. Two fists, heaven and earth, thunder tremor. He punched again, and his entire body let out a thunderous roar. His body expanded, and rings of lightning appeared, going against the current and rushing towards Gue Junzi. Sword Tao World, inescapable net. Gue Junzi released even more sword qi and waved his hands, forming all sorts of hand seals. Each strike was earth-shattering, and the rumbling sounds were like tens of thousands of missiles exploding on the ground. This boundless net of swords trapped Jiang Li, causing him to be trapped to death within. Three fists heavenly fire burns the wilderness. All of a sudden, Jiang Li flashed everywhere in the sword qi, and his fists were like flames. All of a sudden, they exploded, and everywhere was set ablaze. Two portions of true qi, three pure ones appear. Gue Junzi's expression changed, and a saint embryo appeared behind him. It was actually two saint embryos, and each of them spewed out green air currents, which seemed to have the power to destroy heaven and earth and suppress all things in the world. Four fists drowns the wilderness. Jiang Li swept in all directions and suddenly roared. His tyrannical psychic power swept out like a flood, drowning out everything in all directions. Gue Junzi's saint embryo suddenly began to scatter, and its energies seemed to be on the verge of collapse. What is this? Psychic power, such powerful psychic power. Gue Junzi was shocked. He had used the saint embryo as the source to control the sword qi, and wanted to kill Jiang Li in one move. However, when Jiang Li's psychic power attacked, he couldn't even control the energy of the saint embryo, and completely collapsed. He couldn't believe that Jiang Li had such vast psychic power that he could actually suppress his psychic power. Although there was a huge gap between their levels, and he wouldn't be hypnotized, it could still destroy his saint embryo and even make him unable to control his physical body. Five fists, truly my heart. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Li operated the Grand Emperor's heart mudra and unleashed a palm strike. With a single thought, he unleashed over 10,000 palm strikes. His fleshly body was like a high-speed machine, capable of unleashing thousands of palm strikes per second, each with mountain-toppling, sea-draining power. The Grand Emperor's heart Madra was seeking sincerity. When he unleashed his attack, there would be no more distracting thoughts in his mind, and he would be unparalleled in valor. All of his psychic power and power would be raised to the highest level, almost to the point of piercing through dimensions. This was the last of his 5 palm strikes, and when he unleashed it, it would be filled with his sincerity. Boundlessly domineering power seeped out of his Grand Emperor physique, crushing everything in its path as it arrived in front of Gue Junzi. Gue Junzi's eyes were bloodshot, and his face twisted. Gritting his teeth, he once again unleashed a divine ability from the depths of his body, causing a brilliant rainbow to surround him. Rainbow, godly saber technique. That rainbow was the saber light, which contained the power to slice. It spun like a spinning top, attempting to slice apart Jiang Li's body. However, when these rays of light slashed onto Jiang Li's skin, they only produced sparks, unable to cause any damage to his body. Jiang Li made a grabbing motion. The rainbow godly saber crumbled inch by inch, and he unleashed a palm strike toward Gue Junzi's chest. Gue Junzi roared, and also unleashed a palm strike. The two of them were finally exchanging blows. It was a contest of fleshly body against fleshly body. Rumble. Energy exploded, and Jiang Li landed on the ground, creating a deep crater. Gue Junzi, on the other hand, glided far away and barely landed on the ground. As soon as he landed, he coughed up a mouthful of blood, and cracks appeared all over his body, and a large amount of blood dyed his clothes red. Defeated. Gue Junzi and Jiang Hailong had actually been defeated. Jiang Li had fought 1 against 2, and he had actually defeated 2 instructors in the embryonic breathing realm, even defeating Gue Junzi. It should be known that Gue Junzi was considered a powerful figure among the instructors, and everyone knew that he was unfathomable. He had been fighting openly and covertly with Hong Heiyu for many years, and he had always had the upper hand. Now, he had actually been defeated by Jiang Li. Oh my God. A student screamed, Jiang Li's actually won. Unbelievable, mighty. Amazing, too amazing. All the students actually started cheering, and the waves of cheering grew louder and louder. How is it? Gue Junzi, Jiang Hailong. Let's not talk about the law anymore, right? Jiang Li looked at Jiang Hailong, who was vomiting blood and slowly crawling up, and Gue Junzi, whose face was deathly pale. His tone was very indifferent. If you say such nonsense to me again, I'll kill you. Now get lost. Chapter 267. Jiang Li stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His body was motionless, but he naturally had a towering aura. He was very confident now, as if everything was under his control. What kind of cultivation was this to defeat the combined forces of Gue Junzi and Jiang Hailong with his own strength? If word of this got out, it would probably cause an immediate uproar, and no one would dare to underestimate him anymore. Even those who had ulterior motives against him would have to think twice about how he had advanced so quickly. Jiang Li, Wang Rulai swallowed hard, as if his heart was trembling violently and his brain was congested. He couldn't believe the scene in front of him. Not long ago, Jiang Li was strong enough to defeat Meng Xingyun. However, at that time, Jiang Li's vitality was only 8. Even if he were to fight against an expert in the embryonic breathing realm, he wouldn't be able to fight against an expert in the constant realm whose vitality was in the double digits. But now, he had actually defeated an experienced expert in the embryonic breathing realm, especially Gue Junzi. Who was he? He cultivated the ultimate remarkable power of 1 qi turning 3 pure ones. His qigong had condensed the 2nd or even the 3rd embryo, which was several times stronger than the ordinary embryonic breathing realm. How could he be defeated so easily? What did this mean? How strong was Jiang Li exactly? This was very rare in the history of human cultivation. Only a few geniuses could break through the embryonic breathing realm. It was said that Jiang Nailin had done the same back then, crossing a realm to kill the enemy. No matter how strong the rest were, they couldn't do this. This was an absolute genius, a super genius, an incredible genius that couldn't be described with words. Today's incident would definitely be spread to the top of the human hierarchy. If a genius was reported, he would definitely be valued. After all, Starry Sky University was a school where the strong were respected and geniuses were respected. Countless human organizations, armies, and governments had their eyes on this university, hoping to get talents for their own use. As long as you performed well and had enough value, countless people would fight for you. It's nothing. These two people haven't broken through the second realm of the embryonic breathing realm, the divine breath realm. I defeated them easily. If they were in the divine breath realm, then it would be troublesome. Even if my mental strength was stronger than theirs, it wouldn't be enough to shake their hearts. Zhongli patted Wang Rulai's shoulder. How about it? I still have some strength. These people want to bully us? How is that possible? As he spoke, he looked at Meng Xingyun. At this moment, Meng Xingyun stared foolishly at him, almost as if he were dreaming. Originally, he was not convinced and was prepared to use his strongest killer move to take revenge. Just now, he was beaten to the point of vomiting blood. He would definitely not give up. But now, he felt that fighting against Zhongli was like throwing an egg against a stone. Even his master, Gue Junzi, had been defeated, and it was a crushing defeat at that. The gap between him and Zhongli was like heaven and earth. To put it bluntly, Zhongli could probably blow him into ashes with a single breath. Zhongli, is this really your doing? Luohan and Serene also couldn't believe the scene in front of them. Things have already happened. Why haven't you people calmed down yet? This isn't the spirit of a cultivator. Trust your own judgment and never doubt it. Zhongli waved his hand dismissively. Shock isn't good for cultivation. You. Gue Junzi vomited blood again and again. He stood up. Why do you have such tyrannical spiritual power? Who gave it to you? Humph, you don't need to know. Why aren't you getting lost? I don't want to see you. Zhongli suddenly blew out a breath. Suddenly, a strong wind rose, and a tornado blew towards the two. Go! Zhang Hailong and Gue Junzi's complexion changed. They didn't dare to resist and hurriedly left. They were not Jiang Li's opponent. Today, they had already made a fool of themselves. There was no more harsh words to say, and they didn't mention anything about the law. Whoever's fist was bigger was the law. At this point, the law enforcement team of Starry Sky University didn't dare to arrest Jiang Li. Originally, if the two were strong, Zhang Hailong would have directly arrested Jiang Li, sent him to the law enforcement team, put him in confinement, and sent him to military court. But now that he was defeated by Jiang Li, it was already a blessing that he wasn't arrested by Jiang Li. Good riddance. Jiang Li looked at the two disheveled silhouettes and smiled slightly. Let's sign up and participate in the Eternal Realm competition. On the huge optical computer, a video appeared. A youth suddenly flew out, broke through many magical powers, and caused the two embryonic breathing realm experts to vomit blood. This was the scene 3 days later. Jiang Li participated in the competition and obtained a quota to enter the Vitality Furnace. He was deservedly the first place. No one even dared to challenge him. If he met an opponent, the opponent would automatically forfeit. In this way, after he obtained the quota, he didn't use it and kept it first. Wang Rulai obtained a ranking, while Lei Zheng and Ji Qingwu didn't obtain a single ranking. There was no other way. There were too many experts this time. They all wanted to advance to the embryonic breathing realm. This was the first time Jiang Li had seen so many experts in the eternal realm of Starry Sky University. He couldn't believe it, especially when there were people with vitality of more than 15. However, he was deservedly the first person in the eternal realm, the king of those below the embryonic breathing realm. In these 3 days, his reputation had risen. Of course, such shocking news had also reached the eyes of the higher-ups. This was not just an ordinary level of power, but a talent that defied the natural order. The word genius was not enough to describe him. Miracle. This is simply a miracle. In the depths of the big conference room in the secret base again, a group of people had gathered together. Yu Yuqing was also among them. They were all watching the scene of Jiang Li defeating Gue Junzi and Jiang Hailong. Jiang Hailong and Gue Junzi were completely defeated. Is he still human? Is he still in the eternal realm? Is there a mistake? Are you sure there's no mistake? At the previous meeting, the old man who was prepared to ask Jiang Li to donate the patent for the Tai Chi rice was stunned. He felt that this matter was a mistake. Yu Yuqing stood up and explained, "From the analysis of this matter, Jiang Li's ability is very strong. His vitality is 20. Especially his body, which has broken through the limit, is much stronger than the average person at 20. I also don't know how he practiced to this extent. Moreover, according to the situation where he defeated Gue Junzi, his spiritual power firmly suppressed Gue Junzi. If Gue Junzi's realm was not stronger than his, he would have long been hypnotized and become a walking corpse." Amazing. Really amazing. The eyes of the middle-aged man who had convened the previous meeting widened. Even when Jiang Nailin was in the eternal realm, he did not have his spiritual power. What kind of situation is this? The highest military department has also noticed this matter. The door opened, and an old man in a long white robe walked in. "Principal." Immediately, everyone in the meeting in the secret room stood up and saluted. Starry Sky University itself was a militarized school. "Sit down, all of you." The old man in the white robe was the principal of Starry Sky University. He had black hair, blue eyes, and was mixed race. In fact, after the great integration of humanity, there were many mixed-race people. Even in the last few terms, some presidents were mixed race. "Grandfather," Yu Yuqing said, "aren't you working on the presidential election in the elite area? How do you have time to come back?" There's also a major event on the Emperor's Star. This time, the Qian Empire was destroyed, but none of the higher-ups were captured. I came to preside over this matter, and at the same time, I set up a trap for the entire Emperor's Star. The second thing is to find out who sees the Emperor's Star's heaven's will. This is also a major event for humanity. The Emperor's Star is huge and rich in resources. If all of it is exploited, it can provide endless energy for all of humanity. The third thing is about Jiang Li. The highest military department already knows about it and wants to summon him because he is a genius among geniuses. The principal said, with this kind of strength, he already has the potential to become a saint. He is a saint candidate. How did the highest military department know about this? The middle-aged man frowned. Countless students uploaded the video of the battle to the school's internal website. The principal smiled. The highest military department is always monitoring the movements of Star Sky University. That's true. Geniuses are always valued. With Jiang Li's strength, he is qualified to go to the outer planet battlefield, Yu Yuqing said. I just don't understand. How can he have such strong mind power? His mind power is 20-dimensional units. The principal looked at the video. I've observed it many times and have come to a conclusion. Also, Hong Heiyu's information has been sent to the highest military department. He is now at mixed element breath and has requested the highest military department to grant him a military rank. The highest military department has agreed. Hong Heiyu has improved so quickly. In a year, he went from psyche breath to divine breath, and then mixed element breath. If you say that he didn't have a fortuitous encounter, I won't believe it. The middle-aged man was jealous. He was not even at mixed element breath. This time, the Emperor's Star's heavens will was seized. I suspect it has something to do with Jiang Li and Hong Heiyu. Otherwise, there is no way to explain their rapid advancement, the principal said. I came back to investigate this matter. Heaven's will? Yu Yuqing said. That's impossible. Even a saint can't seize heaven's will. Hong Heiyu is powerful, but he is worlds apart from a saint. It's impossible for him to seize heaven's will. I'm not saying that Hong Heiyu seized heaven's will. I'm saying that there is someone behind him. There is a hidden master. Because of my recent analysis, I came to a conclusion. Jiang Li's father, Jiang Zhendong, researched the essence of the sun and moon. It's not a big deal, but he developed Taiji rice that can absorb the essence of the sun and moon. This is something that surpasses human technology. It has blood, energy, and dimensional conversion technology. The principal analyzed. This is definitely something big. How can we believe there is no master behind him? If that's the case, then it's terrifying. A master who can seize heavens must have a saint behind him. Several people felt a chill in their hearts. It's very possible. In short, you can stop your little tricks, the principal said. The principal said, of course, Zhongli will investigate, but only in secret. If he has a saint behind him, then acting rashly will bring disaster to Starry Sky University, and even to the entire human race. A saint was, in fact, a nuclear weapon in the era of a country. The Saint Agreement was also known as the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Agreement. Of course, a saint's destructive power was much greater than a nuclear weapon. Therefore, human beings attached great importance to any saint. Chapter 268. As for Jiang Li, who might have a saint behind him, they definitely couldn't use the original method. Even if there was a 1% chance, they couldn't act rashly. If a saint caused great damage, it would be a big loss for a small gain. From now on, don't interfere with Jiang Li's matters. As long as he doesn't cause any trouble, just turn a blind eye to it, the headmaster gave the order. Yes, although these people really wanted to get the patent rights for Jiang Zhendong's Taiji rice. Now that the principal had spoken, they could only restrain their thoughts. I have already sent a message to Hong Black Prison, hoping to have a detailed discussion with him. At the same time, I want to ask about his background. In addition, Hong Black Prison has a relationship with the upper echelon of the Deqian Empire, Chen Tianshu. Those people might contact him. The principal said. Yu Qing called Jiang Li over. Yes. Disperse, disperse. The principal waved his hand. Yes. These directors all stood up and left one by one. The principal himself was a big director, and his shares in Starry Sky University were much more than theirs. Moreover, the principal himself was an expert in the meditative realm. No one present dared to go against him. Moreover, the Yu clan was simply benefiting from both the Western and Eastern powers. He was the representative of all parties. Otherwise, he wouldn't be sitting in his current position. The power behind him was extremely terrifying. Shoo! Jiang Li had already returned to the base. He took a deep breath. Countless liquefied spiritual energy flowed into his body. Then, under the effect of his powerful spiritual energy, the spiritual energy turned into rolling spiritual fire, shooting out from every pore of his body. While refining his body, it also strengthened the energy of his cells. Just like that, he cultivated nonstop, causing his emperor's body to become even more crystalline and infectious. As his cells squirmed, he could sense the space more clearly. Spiritual fire was a higher level of energy than spiritual energy. After a large amount of spiritual energy was compressed, it would turn into spiritual fire. Ordinary people couldn't even touch this energy. If they were slightly touched, their entire body would turn into ashes. Just like an optical computer, some needed electric current to start, but if the electric current was too strong, exceeding 1,000 times in an instant, the optical computer would also be burnt. Just like that, he cultivated step by step. Every time he swallowed and spat, he was thousands of times faster than an ordinary student. Normally, even a person like Wang Rulai would only consume about 5 to 10 grams of spirit stones a day. Every day, he needed to convert 4 to 5 kilograms of spiritual liquid into spiritual fire and temper his body. This was also because Little Tharch controlled the Mother Empress and gradually became more powerful. Otherwise, how could it have gathered so much spiritual liquid? Every day, the fog would not disperse in the base. They even gathered together and formed a stream underground. Jiang Li saw that the entire base had transformed into a half-plane that was about 10 square kilometers in size. It was completely composed of crystal cells and was embedded in a special dimension. Below the base was an archipelago that was enveloped by a distorted energy. Hong Heiyu was also cultivating in this base. He sat cross-legged, and with the blessing of the Queen Mother Egg, his body shone brightly, and he absorbed more spiritual qi than Jiang Li. The spiritual qi turned into flames and refined his body, causing his body to gradually transform into the body of a great emperor. Boom! Hong Heiyu performed all kinds of hand seals, and his cultivation level increased by leaps and bounds again. Hee hee. Hong Hei-yu, you're really good. Although I haven't unlocked all the core spiritual chi of the Queen Mother, you're at the most important moment now. I'll give you a hand with heaven's will, break through the barrier, and let you ascend to meditative meditation. Forget yourself in heaven and earth, and dream for thousands of years. In the depths of the Queen Mother egg, little Thearka's voice came out. Okay, I'm going to meditative meditation now. Hong Hei-yu opened his eyes and suddenly shouted. Countless sound waves and voices rushed out of his body, making it seem like his body was about to explode. Endless energy fluctuations erupted from inside his body, and then more spiritual chi descended into his body. Heaven's will was infinite. Heaven's will was infinite. Blazing fire burn my body, turn it into ashes, and refine it into real gold. Hong Hei-yu seemed to have turned on a cheat in the game. His vitality kept rising, and every time his vitality rose, the surrounding space shook. He's actually going to meditative meditation. Zhongli woke up and looked at the surging vital chi around him. Brother Black Prison has accumulated a lot, but because of some things, he was stuck at a bottleneck and couldn't improve. But the great Emperor's seal opened the door of his heart and let him understand what is called sincerity. With the Emperor's star's heavens will seeping in, he became a Buddha immediately, Little Tharch said. Breakthrough. Hong Hei-yu was like a whirlpool, absorbing all the spiritual chi into his body, and he was still absorbing the spiritual chi in the dimension. His entire body was like a torch burning fiercely. His entire naked body was in the depths of the fireball. This was spiritual fire, and its temperature was extremely high, far exceeding that of a volcano's magma. In reality, even steel would be melted into gas, and just like that, it enveloped Hong Black Prison's body. Brother Black Prison, your breakthrough this time is extremely dangerous. Either you live forever in the fire, or you turn into ashes. It depends on how long you can last. I will continuously extract void spiritual chi for you. Little Tharch explained to Zhongli. He is using the fire to purify himself. Every second is a risk, and if he loses control, he will burn to death immediately. The risk is very high, and this situation will last for about 49 days, not a day less. If he doesn't die in 49 days, he might succeed in meditative meditation. If there is even the slightest problem, or spiritual fatigue, or lack of spiritual chi, or harassment from the outside, or some unforeseen event, he will turn into ashes immediately. So dangerous? Zhongli was speechless. He would definitely choose the safest cultivation method, while Hong Hei-yu did not take his life seriously. This was the right path, and the other took the side path of rapid cultivation. Don't worry, during this period, I can protect you completely. Even a sage will not be easy to break through the Queen Mother, Little Tharch said confidently. When will you be able to cultivate back and manifest your divinity again? I'm watching you now. Once you manifest your divinity, I will have a backer and can develop without fear. This was what Zhongli was most concerned about. It's still a bit difficult. I haven't completely digested heaven's will, and I don't lack spiritual chi. With the Emperor's relic and the Queen Mother, I can extract endless spiritual chi from the second dimension. So I have enough bioenergy, but not enough mechanical energy. The Queen Mother's crystal can also absorb the energy of the stars to increase mechanical energy, but it's too slow. If I can get a huge human nuclear reactor and all kinds of mechanical energy, my unlocking and fusion will be faster, Little Tharch said. Mechanical energy and bioenergy can only be combined to speed up the incubation. Finally, the two will combine and give birth to life. I will think of a way. Although Zhongli could make his own nuclear reactor, the energy produced by such a small reactor was too small for the Queen Mother's incubation. The Queen Mother's incubation might require a large reactor that could support the energy of a planet. Such a reactor could only be found in the Cosmic Star University and the Human Elite Zone. Beep, beep, beep. The optical computer beeped. It was an email from the school. Zhongli, hurry back to the school. It's urgent. The principal wants to see you. Oh, the principal? Zhongli was moved. This principal hasn't appeared in the Cosmic Star University for a long time. Why did he suddenly come back to see me? Don't worry. Your mind is connected to the Emperor's relic. As long as you're on the Imperial Star, I can open a wormhole at any time to protect you. No one could do anything to you. Don't worry and go back, Little Darch said. Then I can rest assured. Little Thearch as God, Art was getting stronger and stronger. Jianglu was very happy to hear this. He took a deep breath of spiritual qi and left the base. Cosmic Star University, Secret Base. Led by Yu Yuqing, Jiangli walked through the gate and saw the principal in a white robe. Hello, principal. He saluted, not lacking in manners. Jiangli, you're a genius. The principal smiled. You defeated Gue Junzi and Jiang Hailong, but according to the school's rules, that's against human law. I remember there's a holy agreement. The Holy One has the right to pardon human laws, Jiangli said calmly. What did you say? The principal's expression changed. Jiangli seemed to have spilled the beans. I didn't say anything. I'm deeply sorry for what I did to Gue Junzi and Jiang Hailong. I'm willing to compensate them. I'm willing to accept whatever law the school wants to use to sue me, but I reserve the right to appeal. His words became neither soft nor hard, like a needle hidden in a velvet. This isn't a big deal, but it's not a small one either. The principal wanted to take Jiangli down a notch, but he suddenly realized that there really was a terrifying power behind him. He had to be careful. Jiang Hailong and Gue Junzi didn't appeal, so the school reserves the right to pursue them for now. I agree. Jiangli didn't want to argue with the principal. When it's time to be arrogant, be arrogant. When it's time to be low-key, be low-key. The principal suddenly felt awkward and signaled Yu Yuqing with his eyes. You can leave. Yes, Grandpa. Yu Yuqing turned around and left. The energy door closed. Now there's only you and me in this secret room. To put it nicely, you're indeed a genius. In the history of Starry Sky University, you're probably the first. Even if Jiang Nailin was here, she wouldn't have this kind of strength. Did you obtain the Emperor Star's Heaven's Will? The principal didn't beat around the bush. That day in the Qian Empire's capital, I bewitched a prince and used a secret technique to steal part of his Heaven's Will. Jiangli said, it was just a fluke. His words were watertight, but it gave people infinite imagination. The principal's eyes were sharp. He didn't want to ask about this result. That day in the Qian Empire's capital, the battle was earth-shattering. Without protection, it was impossible to survive. Even those in a meditative state would fall. The principal asked again, is there someone behind you? Chapter 269. The principal didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. If Jiangli had a saint behind him, then who was that saint? Who had seized the Emperor Star's Heaven's Will? He had to figure this out. Otherwise, it would be a huge threat to humanity and Star Sky University. Jiangli obviously wouldn't tell them it was Little Darch because it would cause a commotion. Moreover, Little Darch was at a crucial point in her cultivation. She hadn't shown her divinity yet and was pregnant with a mother empress. If others found out that Jiang Nailin had obtained some human saints, they would definitely come to snatch it. She would probably die then. It was extremely dangerous. Fortunately, Jiangli had already thought of a countermeasure. He didn't explain it clearly and just said slowly, actually, you already know who the saint behind me is. Back on Earth, I fought with the Jiang family at the black market. The Jiang family's holy statue, Jiang Nailin, appeared and covered the entire Sun Moon City. But in the end, it was defeated and the holy statue collapsed. Whose power was it? On the entire Earth, there seems to be only one person who has the power to defeat Jiang Nailin. You mean Wang Chao? The principal seemed to have thought of this, but he still had some doubts. Are you in contact with Wang Chao? Did he teach you your mystique? I've been told this before. I won't say it no matter what. Jiangli waved his hand. If he said this on purpose, people would believe him. There's one thing I don't believe. If Wang Chao appeared, why didn't he go to the Wang family? The principal pondered. But it's true that only he can defeat Jiang Nailin. Logically speaking, only he can seize the Heaven's Will. Jiangli saw that the principal's expression was unsettled and knew that this situation had caused him to be confused. Principal, if there's nothing else, I'll be going. Wait. The principal stopped him. I have something to ask you. Principal, please ask, Zhongli said. You also know that Yu Yuqing told you about Taiji rice. The principal said, Taiji rice, your Red Emperor group can't grow it now. Why don't you give the patent to Starry Sky University? This thing is too valuable. My Red Emperor group will become one of the top 10 corporations in the world with this. Giving it to Starry Sky University like this is worse than robbery. Zhang Li snorted disdainfully. Of course not for free. The principal understood that Jiang Li would never give up this kind of robbery. The Sun and Moon Corporation's sales, planting, and distribution channels are not good, and your development is very slow. If you want to sell Taiji rice on a large scale, you'll have to wait at least 3 to 5 years. However, we only need 1 year to let the majority of the human population eat Taiji rice, and the overall quality of the human race will increase by 3 to 5 times. Although the human race is developing very fast, the situation is very dangerous. Humans need to become stronger at all times and do everything possible to develop and plunder in order to gain a foothold in the universe. I know that, but we can't rob in the name of righteousness. Humans must have laws first. Jiang Li was unmoved. What do you want? Say it. The principal clasped his hands behind his back. The patent of Taiji rice is something that Starry Sky University must obtain. It is also a strategic resource for the highest military department. Think about it. How many soldiers do we have? If they all eat this thing, within a few months, their quality will greatly improve, and their combat power will increase a lot. They will enter many dangerous places, obtain many resources for the entire human race, and conduct many scientific research. I believe that within a few years, humanity will once again experience a great revolutionary leap. Even the highest military department is tempted. Jiang Li was surprised. If the top human officials were tempted, there was nothing he could do. Yes, I came here on behalf of the highest military department, hoping to obtain the patent. Also, all the information and technology your father researched. Give it to the human government in the name of donation. Of course, the government will give you a reward. The principal said, It seems that everything is taken by force. Jiang Li sneered. Of course, he didn't want to hand over the patent, but since the highest military department was concerned about this matter, it was not easy to evade. He immediately made a conclusion. I can give the patent to the entire human race, the highest military department, but I need something. What is it? As long as it's not too crazy, we can give it to you. We can even give your father the identity of a councilman. Not a councilman of the 36 Hua cities, but a councilman of the human elite district. How about it? What do you think? The principal began to bargain. What? The highest councilman of the human race? Jiang Li's body shook. This was not just taken by force. This identity was incredible. Once his father became the highest councilman, he would receive the golden medal of immunity. Even if the president of the human race wanted to make a decision, the highest councilman had to vote. The identity of any councilman was a quota that countless human forces fought for. Although Zhu Yuanshang was also a councilman of the 36 Hua cities, this councilman was not the same as the other councilman. Compared to the highest councilman of the elite district, Zhu Yuanshang was like the county magistrate of the country 200 years ago, and the highest councilman was like the minister of the country. The difference between the two was too great. The difference was too great. How about it? The Jiang family wants to fight for the position of councilman. The highest military department and the government discussed and gave your father this position. You feel better now, right? The principal smiled. Knowing this, Zhang Li also had to weigh it. Zhang Li was also thinking. Suddenly, he said, I don't want the position of councilman. I want something else. What do you want? You don't want even a councilman? The principal was shocked. It's impossible to fight for the position of councilman. Even I, who was the principal of Starry Sky University for decades, barely got the position of councilman. Once your father gets it, he can be on equal footing with me. A councilman doesn't have any real power. Real power comes from one's own strength. Jiang Li said calmly, If my father was in the meditative realm, I would definitely support him to be a councilman. But now he's not even in the embryonic breathing state. A tall tree attracts the wind. I'm afraid he'll be killed in a few days. So, you're not willing? The principal's expression was very ugly. This time, he was here to do the ideological work for Jiangli. Actually, it was also on the orders of the higher-ups. Once the ideological work was done successfully, he would also get great credit and rewards. This credit was not just empty words. It was recorded on the Lord's AI. The humans had to hold a meeting every year to evaluate and reward people. Being a councilman is the biggest concession we can make. If it still doesn't work, then there's no other way. Young man, there are many opportunities. Don't push your luck. The principal's tone was already stressful. No, I still want to donate. But I don't need a councilman. I need energy blocks, Jiangli said. What? What do you want? The principal was so shocked that he almost didn't hear it clearly. I need energy blocks, Jiangli said again. This time, the principal heard it clearly. He almost couldn't believe it. It wasn't that Jiangli's request was too high, but it was too low. Just like in ancient times, when a person obtained a piece of his jade and presented it to the emperor said that he needed a reward and even prepared a city to exchange it with him. But that person said that a bowl of rice would be enough. Is what you said true? The principal confirmed again. What I said is true. Jiangli said, however, what I need is not ordinary energy blocks, but advanced energy blocks. Energy blocks are divided into 1 star to 10 stars, but I don't need either. I need energy blocks of a higher level. I heard that the AI of the Lord's AI in the elite zone is the highest computer of mankind. It came from alien technology, and after being refined by the saints and modified by the most advanced technology of mankind, it's even more amazing now. Its energy is a higher level energy block called a holy energy block. I need this energy. Little Dharch needed a large amount of mechanical energy to advance. If he could exchange it for a large amount of energy blocks, Little Thearch's advancement speed would greatly increase. Actually, being a councilman was not something substantial. Behind him was a true saint. This was the foundation of the eternal foundation. Having a saint was the era of a country. If you had nuclear weapons, no one would dare to touch you. You want a holy energy block. What are you going to use it for? The principal frowned. This was easier than being a councilman. However, the holy energy block was very difficult to make. It was only supplied to the AI of the Lord's AI and many battleships in the elite zone. It was the highest energy that humans could use. A fist-sized block could support the energy consumption of a planet for half a year. This was simply an energy block that only a god could make. For research, Jiangli only said these 3 words, unwilling to say anything more. Also, I need celestial stones. These are my 2 requests. You can study it and see how much the Taiji rice patent is worth. Give me energy blocks and celestial stones of the same value. Celestial stones represented the extreme of biological energy, while the holy energy block represented the extreme of mechanical energy. The 2 types of energy mixed together would definitely push Little Dharch to improve quickly. Every bit of strength, he had meant an extra bit of safety. Moreover, when Little Dharch cultivated, he and Hong Heiyu would both benefit greatly. Okay, I'll report your matter to the highest military department immediately. The principal actually felt that this condition was acceptable. He turned on AI and sent out a secret command. After a while, many symbols appeared on his AI that no one else could understand. Okay, the highest military department has agreed. They're estimating the price. What's the ratio of the holy energy block to the celestial stones you need? 1 to 9. Jiangli wanted to say 50-50, but Little Dharch lacked mechanical energy. Okay, we'll estimate it and give you the price report. If you agree, sign it. Transfer all the research materials and patent rights to us. The principal looked at the densely packed words on the A again. No problem. Jiangli gave up on the patent just like that. However, he sneered in his heart. When Little Dharch truly controls the Queen Mother, the spirit rice will be developed and the meditation pill will be developed. Will you be able to buy these 2 patents? Chapter 270. Dad, let's discuss something. Let's give the patent to Starry Sky University. I signed an agreement with them. After Jiangli was done, he started a conversation with his father, Jiang Zhendong, because nominally, Jiang Zhendong was the owner of the Taiji rice patent. No problem, do whatever you want. I only want to do research. You could do the specific operation yourself. Son, let go and do it. After I researched the Taiji rice, it no longer has any value to me. Now I want to research spirit rice or something more profound. Jiang Zhendong was a natural research maniac. To him, as long as he could keep researching, it was happiness. Once something was researched, sold, and produced, it was Jiang Li's business. It had nothing to do with him. Just like that, everything was done. 3 days later, outside Starry Sky University. Is this the holy energy block? It really contains the energy to destroy the world. Jiang Li held a fist-sized stone in his hand. It was very heavy, almost weighing dozens of tons. If not for his vitality of 20, he wouldn't be able to pick it up. A fist-sized stone weighing dozens of tons. How dense was it? It was obvious how terrifying it was. He recognized at a glance that it was a genuine holy energy block. He didn't know how it was condensed, but he vaguely felt that there were spatial cracks in it. In addition, there were a few immortal stones, all of which were 1 gram. The valuable Taiji rice patent was exchanged for 5 fist-sized holy energy blocks and 3 grams of immortal stones. This was a loss, but Jiang Li didn't feel it was a loss at all. The holy energy block was extremely valuable. Once it was released, it could supply the energy of the entire Earth. Of course, ordinary machines wouldn't be able to use this energy at all. Jiang Li, let me tell you, don't use the holy energy block blindly. Once it explodes, several cities will be annihilated. Also, ordinary optical computers and machines can't use it as an energy source. Otherwise, it will be burned. The energy it releases is very violent and can completely burn down your base. The principal warned. No problem. Jiang Li quickly placed it into his own battleship. He now had his own battleship, the Star King. It was Long Tianlang's battleship, and it had been modified to be even more powerful. Of course, this battleship had not been completely remodeled. Once he sent the sacred energy into the depths of the Queen Mother, the battleship would be remodeled into a biological spaceship by the Queen Mother. When that happened, it would be even more powerful. I'm leaving. After Jiang Li obtained the sacred grade energy block and immortal stone, he immediately piloted the battleship and left. Follow him. Seeing that Jiang Li had left, the principal called out, and a few shadows appeared beside him. They were all wearing clothes that blended in with the environment. In the air, their clothes were like air, completely covering their bodies. This was high-tech biotechnology, the highest achievement of the elite zone. Swish, swish, swish. The few of them flew up at an extremely fast speed, completely surpassing the embryonic breathing realm. They seemed to have the power of meditative forgetfulness. This was the ability of their clothes. Their clothes were super martial armor. Armors were divided into low martial, medium martial, high martial, super martial, and sacred. Among them, the high martial mecha could completely contend with the embryonic breathing realm, while the super martial mecha was completely an expert of the meditative forgetfulness realm. This mecha could even fly in the starry sky. For example, if a person put on clothes, they could fly straight from Earth to the moon. It was a miracle that a piece of clothing could reach such a level of energy. Of course, the sacred mecha was even more incredible. It was like the magical treasures and robes of the cultivation world. It could be integrated into the body and coordinated with the body, increasing the body's strength. Of course, the high martial mecha were rare even in Starry Sky University. They were not comparable to battleships. The mobility of battleships was too poor, and some places were difficult to pass through. On the other hand, battle armors were portable and were the same size as a person. They were not hard metal shells. The high martial mecha were no longer made of steel, but polymer fibers. They were as soft as clothes, but after charging, they became very hard. The technology required for a high martial mecha was much more advanced than that of a battleship. The cost of manufacturing a high martial mecha was about the same as several battleships. Therefore, even Wang Rulai did not have a high martial mecha, let alone a super martial mecha. The super martial mecha was not something that a student could have. It was the high technology of the highest military department. Someone is following me? Jiangli piloted the battleship into the sky. Soon, he was close to the base. With a thought, he felt that someone was following him. However, when he opened the battleship's radar, he found nothing. Damn, my mind is still reliable. Even the battleship's radar can't detect me. I just have to inform Little Darch. Immediately, he communicated telepathically. Swoosh! Around the battleship in the sky, endless fog suddenly surged. It was so dark that one could not see their fingers. In the center of the fog, the space collapsed slightly, and the battleship disappeared. This was the Queen Mother wormhole that sucked the battleship in. It could be seen that after Little Darch absorbed Heaven's will, he became more and more powerful. Of course, he was only this powerful on the Emperor's star. If he was on other planets, he would be much weaker. Where did he go? How did he lose such a huge battleship? A few people rushed into the depths of the fog and revealed themselves. They were actually soldiers in neat military uniforms. The uniforms were the High Martial battleship, and there were some faintly discernible runes and spells embroidered on them. Upon closer inspection, there didn't seem to be any. The fog suddenly surged, and then the huge battleship disappeared. What's going on? One of the soldiers frowned. Could it be a wormhole jump? But how can he jump without a base? Also, his battleship can't jump. Once it does, it will be torn apart. Something's wrong. Another soldier said, Let's go back and report this. As expected, Jiangli wasn't bluffing. There's a powerful person behind him. I wonder if it's Wang Chao. Such a method to make a battleship disappear suddenly. Only a saint could do that. Let's go back. The soldiers directly left. What? A huge fog surged, and Jiang Li's battleship disappeared into thin air. You guys couldn't even detect it. The principal listened to the soldier's description and was shocked. What kind of power is that? It's so silent and can move mountains. Could there really be a saint behind him? It might be Wang Chao. One of the soldiers guessed. No, the principal thought for a while. I can confirm that it's not Wang Chao. Wang Chao has already left humanity for more than 100 years. He went to the depths of the universe to search for the mysteries of the fallen battleship. Who is Jiangli that he could make him take action so many times? If Wang Chao shows his divinity once in a while, it's understandable. But for him to do it so frequently, it's definitely not him. That makes sense, Yizichin said. The soldiers discussed. Then what should we do now? Go to Hong Heiyu's base and investigate? Ever since Hong Heiyu took over that paradise, he's been wholeheartedly building it. He's invested all his money in it. It looks like he wants to settle down on Emperor's Star. No, since Jiang Li has an expert behind him, let's forget about it. We don't want to incur their displeasure. I have to report this to the highest command. The principal thought for a while. What I'm afraid of now is that the person behind Jiang Li isn't a human saint, but a saint from another planet. Then we'll be in trouble. Jiang Li had already been reduced to being his chess piece. The impact on us humans will be terrifying. Yes, if the saint behind him is someone from another planet, then it'll be a disaster. The soldiers felt a lingering fear. That's right. That's what I'm worried about. Killing intent appeared in the principal's eyes. If it really is a saint from another planet, then he's not of our race. He's definitely not of our race. We have to unite all the saints and kill him together. Hurry up and report this to the command. In the depths of the Queen Mother's base, Hong Heiyu was still burning in the raging flames. A battleship was parked in the base, already surrounded by crystals. Jiang Li, you brought immortal stones and sacred energy stones. You're really thoughtful. Little Darch was full of joy. Immortal stones aside, sacred energy stones are really good stuff. A few sacred energy stones appeared and were surrounded. In an instant, surging spiritual power surged, and the energy stones disintegrated. Rumble. Jiang Li's entire body was sent flying. Little Darch, what are you doing? He looked at the disintegration of the energy in shock. Once this energy disintegrates, it'll be much more powerful than a nuclear bomb. Haha, I need this kind of energy. You humans are really amazing. This sacred energy actually contains the mysteries of space. It's a pity that it hasn't condensed into space. If it did, then this energy wouldn't be dozens of tons heavy. It would be light. Of course, if this energy doesn't enter space, then it'll be hundreds of thousands of tons, not dozens of tons. Little Darch wasn't afraid of the energy at all. Instead, he kept absorbing it. At this time, a crystal cell wrapped around Jiangli. Jiangli couldn't feel the energy storm at all. He could only watch as Little Darch absorbed everything. Rumble. Jiangli watched as the Queen Mother's base expanded. The storm swirled, and the crystal cells released endless light. Time and space were slightly distorted. In the Queen Mother's egg, countless cracking sounds could be heard. A great will was struggling. Bug swarm, expand, devour, inheritance. This was the Queen Mother's will. Even Little Darch, who had the Emperor Star's heaven's will, couldn't do anything about it. But now that Little Darch was absorbing heaven's will, the Queen Mother's will collapsed. Finally, it couldn't take it anymore. Occupy, dream for 1,000 autumns. Little Darch roared. His will attack was unstoppable. Finally, a shrill scream almost shattered Jiang Li's soul. The Queen Mother's will finally fell silent. Good chance. Little Thearka's voice also fell silent. In the end, only the storm energy in the Queen Mother's lair was left. This energy wasn't ordinary. If Jiangli wasn't wrapped in crystals, he would have been killed. After who knew how long, the energy storm finally stopped. Jiangli opened his eyes. The storm had stopped, and the Queen Mother's egg had completely disappeared. Only the Queen Mother's space was left. Little Darch stood in the center, his white clothes fluttering. He looked like a descending emperor. Little Darch, you're finally resurrected? Jiangli asked in surprise. It's not easy to resurrect. Little Darch sighed. Although the energy is huge, it's a little less. If it could be 3 to 5 times more, or even 10 times more, I would be able to resurrect. Now, I'm just suppressing the Queen Mother's will in my body. Of course, I've unlocked more of the Queen Mother's technology tree. 3 to 5 times more energy. What can I get that? Jiangli almost jumped up. Isn't this a trap? Don't worry, I've benefited a lot this time. My god art is stronger. Little Darch smiled. Also, Brother Black Prison has broken through the meditative realm with my help. Chapter 271. Minter has advanced to meditative state. That's really fast. Jiangli almost jumped up. In the entire Star Sky University, there was only one expert in the meditative state, and that was the principal. Of course, there were some hidden experts who could compete with the meditative state with the power of their armors. Unfortunately, their own lives could not compare to the meditative state. Once one advanced to the meditative state, one's mind could travel through many dimensions, analyze the mysteries of countless dimensions, and extract all kinds of energy from the endless dimensions. It was not just pure energy like the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The entire universe was made up of many dimensions. This had long been proven in science. The second dimension was the most superficial dimension. People absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth from it to strengthen themselves. This was the law of evolution of the universe. As for some dimensions, such as the 4th dimension, the 5th dimension, the 6th dimension, or even the 100th dimension, what exactly were they? What benefits did they have? No one in modern science could prove this point, but cultivators could. Even more, cultivators could extract energy from the depths of the dimensions out of thin air and use it to create all kinds of magical powers. They could set up great formations, reverse yin and yang, reverse heaven and earth, control souls, and summon the wind and rain. Minter, Minter, Jiangli called out. I'm here. Hong Heiyu walked out, dressed in tight black clothes, standing upright like a demon god. His body was straight, supporting the starry sky. His palms shook slightly, and there seemed to be stars in the depths of his skin and blood, shining brightly. It felt like he had absorbed the universe into his body. Sure enough, his temperament was completely different. With the help of Little Darch, I comprehended the highest profound meaning of the great Emperor's seal, dream birth to 10,000 arts, and turned the 10 directional hell Tao into 10,000 arts in the Milky Way. It could be said that I've advanced another level, turning an S-class martial art into an SS-class martial art. Hong Heiyu roared, his voice echoing in the Queen Mother's base. Fire dimension, condense. As he spoke, a big fireball condensed on his palm. The flames in the fireball burned fiercely, appearing out of thin air. Zhongli only felt that when Hong Heiyu used it, time and space collapsed slightly, and countless fire energy surged out, condensing on his palm. The power of this fireball was no less than a huge missile. This is the power of the meditative state. Extracting energy from all dimensions is endless, which is completely different from magical powers. The power of divine abilities was limited, but the power of dimensional space was limitless. This is fire energy extracted from the fire dimension. Hong Heiyu then shook, and the ball of flames disappeared into thin air and was sent into the fire dimension by his powerful mental power. The flame dimension wasn't a secondary dimension, but an even deeper dimension. Mind power can dominate everything. Hong Heiyu said, although after mastering the divine ability, you can also release flames. This flame is the energy stored in your body. If you use it slightly, it will be used up. However, once you advance to meditative state, you only need to use your mental strength slightly, and you will be able to extract fire elements from the dimension. It will be endless. This principle was very easy to understand. It was just like how the heat from a human's own fire could not compare to the scorching sun. Actually, the spiritual energy of the heaven and earth is the most shallow dimension, but the flame dimension is very profound. The entire dimension is endless, and it is filled with raging flames, all kinds of wild flames. There are even beings made of flames, flame giants, flame gods. This is actually the fire elemental dimension of Western magic. As for the many dimensions, us Easterners call them heavens, Westerners call them planes, and modern science calls them dimensions or multiverse. Hong Heiyu carefully explained, although the Great Emperor's seal is the four seals of water, fire, wind, and lightning, when you cultivate it to the end, you'll be able to see through all the dimensions. I've studied the knowledge of the multiverse, and some dimensions even have matter. Can teacher pull out the matter from the dimension? Zhongli asked. That's impossible. This is the cultivation of the vision domain. Hong Heiyu said, the meditative state can only communicate with the energy of the dimension. To be able to pull matter out of the dimension, this was something only someone in the vision domain could do. For example, Zhongli knew that through scientific research, there were some dimensions that were very mysterious and contained large amounts of rare metals. There were even dimensions that were filled with gold. It was a pity that only the vision domain could pull matter out of the dimension. A cultivator in the meditative state is truly powerful. I still can't understand the mysteries of the multiple dimensions. Zhongli shook his head. Actually, the theory of the multiverse, in the era of the country, before humans obtained the fallen ship, they had already obtained proof. This was quantum physics. After humanity's technology took a leap, humans began to understand the mysteries of the multiverse. The space-folding technology was known as Pandora's box, and once it was opened, humanity would have a giant leap. Thinking about it, if humans could open the fire elemental dimension, the entire dimension would be filled with wild energy. The entire human race would be able to use the energy system in the elite area, and all the work would be done by energy people. What kind of golden age would that be? What kind of heaven would that be? Some dimensions were filled with all kinds of metals. After obtaining them, how would humanity's technology develop? Each dimension was a giant treasure, so humans needed to thoroughly study space. Zhongli, now that I've unlocked the Queen Mother's technology tree, although I haven't completely revived or shown my divinity, it's close. I'll use the Queen Mother's technology to upgrade this battleship for you. I still have use for the Emperor Relic. You've lost the protection of the Emperor Relic, so you can only rely on the battleship. Little Emperor thought about it. This battleship itself is very strong. If it goes through the Queen Mother's technology, it could be at least 10 times stronger. There's no need for that. I don't care much about the battleship. I just need to rely on my own strength. Zhongli said, it doesn't matter. At least it can be used as a storage space. The Queen Mother has the space folding technology, and the battleship will create a storage space for you. Moreover, this battleship can create many biochemical beasts, like the biochemical treasure hunting bug that can drill into the ground and find all kinds of treasures for you. Other than that, you can create all kinds of energy-absorbing beasts to continuously upgrade your battleship. In the end, it will turn into a simple Queen Mother, which is equivalent to the King Bug of the bug race. Little Emperor explained all kinds of benefits, which made Jiang Li's heart beat faster. Not to mention anything else, the storage space was very important. All right then, I'll create a King Bug battleship, and I can use it to dominate. A Queen Mother had to first create a King Bug battleship to control a huge galaxy. It was like an emperor who would have many kings, princes, and dukes under his command. Immediately, countless crystals covered the huge battleship. The metal shell seemed to melt under the effect of the biological crystal cells, turning into wriggling flesh. Jiangli looked at the transformation and couldn't understand it all. This was technology that surpassed humanity. After 10 days, Jiangli kept cultivating. In the Queen Mother's base, the spiritual energy was getting thicker and thicker, making it very easy for him to absorb. All day, he used his mind to gather spiritual energy, ignite flames, and hypnotize his whole body. This was a very vast project. Although his life force didn't grow, his cells were getting stronger and stronger. This was to accumulate power for the future Emperor embryo. Finally, after half a month, the transformation of the King Bug battleship was completed. The battleship wriggled and then shrank, turning into a small worm that was only 7 inches long. It had horns, wings, scales, and claws. It looked like the legendary divine dragons, but it was a smaller version of them. Jiang Li's huge Star King battleship had become a small bug after the transformation. However, Jiang Li could feel spatial energy within this little worm's body. This is the King Bug battleship, Little Emperor said. The King Bug battleship is now running low on energy. You need to replenish it. Bioenergy is used to create biochemical beasts, and mechanical energy is used to drive the battleship. Of course, after you start it now, it won't be used normally. The biochemical beasts will go out to hunt, devour other creatures, obtain bioenergy, and feed it back to the battleship. These biochemical beasts will also absorb energy from stars. In any case, as long as you stop the battleship on a resource-rich planet, it will automatically grow. Amazing, Jiang Li roared. This kind of technology completely surpassed human transformation. He beckoned to the bug, and it obediently climbed onto his body and settled on his shoulder. Immediately, a wave of mind connected with the King Bug battleship. Jiang Li, let's go, Hong Heiyu said. Go? To where? Jiang Li was stunned. Chen Tianshu is here. He wants to meet me. Hong Heiyu said calmly. Let's go out of the base and meet him. Don't let Little Emperor know that the great Qian Empire has been destroyed. Countless subjects have become human slaves. Only the royal family in the Infinite Universe map, some ministers and experts from the college are left. But there's still a powerful force. I hope to gain their loyalty and build our own power. Then, we can slowly change their identities and make them part of the human race for our use. Jiang Li's heart palpitated. Although there were no saints among the upper echelons of the great Qian Empire, there were meditative realm experts and many embryonic breathing realm experts. Once he subdued them, his power would be able to completely rival the Sun and Moon group. He would no longer be a small group. But there were also drawbacks. Those people had their country in mind. If he couldn't recruit them, the chances of being controlled would be higher. But with Little Emperor behind him, meeting Chen Tianshu was not a bad idea. Swoosh! Hong Heiyu grabbed Jiang Li, and the two of them left the base. Then, a powerful energy enveloped the two of them, and they flew continuously. Their speed actually surpassed that of the battleship. In a short while, they stopped at the peak of a mountain. The meditative realm is indeed powerful. Jiang Li licked his lips. He knew that Hong Heiyu's current power was enough to run for president. He was definitely not someone ordinary people could compare to. There were only a few hundred people like him out of the billions of humans on Earth. If his father was as powerful as Hong Heiyu, Zhongli would be in favor of him becoming a member of parliament. On the mountain peak, there stood a person. It was a scholar. Chun Tianshu stood against the wind. His body emitted a sorrowful aura. Even Zhongli was affected. He felt that he was full of sorrow, hatred, and deathly stillness. Zhongli could understand this. If the humans on Earth encountered such a situation, he would be the same. He would be heartbroken and feel that he had lost all hope. This was the extinction of a country. Chapter 272. Hong Heiyu, you actually advanced to meditate a meditation. How did you advance so quickly? Sensing their presence, Chun Tianshu turned around and saw Jiang Li and Hong Heiyu flying towards him. With his cultivation base, he could immediately tell that Hong Heiyu's strength and realm were different. His usage of various types of energy and his psychic energy permeated the dimension were superb. He could not help but be shocked. How long has it been since we last met? In more than a year's time, Hong Heiyu was still in the first tier of the embryonic breathing realm. How could he have risen steadily in such a short period of time? Even a rocket wouldn't be able to travel that fast. Chun Tianshu also knew that humans had developed resources, but even so, it was impossible for human experts to advance so quickly. From the first to the second tier of the embryonic breathing realm, if one had a fortuitous encounter, enlightenment, and resources, they might be able to advance in a few decades, or they might not be able to advance in a lifetime. Even a genius like Gue Junzi couldn't advance to the second tier of the divine breath realm, let alone the mixed primordial breath realm. As for the meditative memory, that was even more impossible. Chun Tianshu himself did not have any hope at first. His advancement to amnesia was only because humans from Earth had invaded the Emperor's star. Because he prayed to the heavens day and night, he obtained righteousness and was summoned by the will of the Emperor's star. This was equivalent to the strong support of the heavens and earth, which allowed him to advance. How could Hong Heiyu advance so quickly? He could not figure it out. Father-in-law, I had another fortuitous encounter. What's the matter? Why are you looking for me this time? Hong Heiyu's expression was solemn as he spoke frankly without beating around the bush. Have you heard about the great Qian Empire? Chun Tianshu said indifferently. My nation has been destroyed. 20,000 years of inheritance, my people, my civilization, have all been destroyed. Countless people have become your slaves, and countless resources have been stolen by you. How do you feel about this? Winner takes all. Hong Heiyu said, when your great Qian Empire expanded, you destroyed countless countries and races on the Emperor's star. Thousands of years ago, there were many countries on the Emperor's star. The Great Dry Empire destroyed those countries one by one, unifying them and becoming the strongest empire. Now that the empire had been destroyed, there was nothing to feel pity about. This was the truth of the ages. Perhaps one day, we humans on Earth will also perish. This is the law of the universe. No, we must take revenge, Chun Tianshu said. This hatred must be avenged. How are you going to take revenge? Hong Heiyu laughed. Do you know how many saints the humans have? Mankind's technology is so powerful. How many planets have we spread across? How huge is the population? With the formation of technology, talents will emerge one by one. Every year, our youths are much more outstanding than the previous year. You guys haven't even left the Emperor's star yet, but we're already blooming everywhere in the universe. By the way, the cultivation world that you're so proud of is now in extreme danger and is about to be breached by us humans on Earth. Revenge will only bring you to eternal damnation. Besides, you know the current situation. The humans on Earth want to develop the Emperor's star on a large scale, so they will first have to eliminate you. How can you escape? I know the situation is serious. We don't have saints, so we'll be captured by you sooner or later. By then, the spark of civilization will be gone. Chun Tianshu seemed to have a bitter fruit in his mouth. Only by preserving the tinder can our civilization flourish. You came to me for help, Hong Heiyu said. Based on our relationship, I will naturally help you. But how do you want me to help? It's simple. We hope to blend into the human society on Earth and hide. Chen Tianshu's eyes flashed. We've already lost the civilization on the Emperor's Star, and even heavens has been taken away. I'm already disheartened, so I must learn human technology and slowly manage it. In the end, I'll destroy the entire human race on Earth. Wouldn't I be a traitor if I did that? Hong Heiyu laughed. Back then, I didn't betray the humans on Earth and join the Qian Empire. It's even more impossible for me to betray them now. We'll give you benefits. Chen Tianshu said, the Qian Empire's high-end power hasn't been lost at all. A large number of mines, spirit stones, magical treasures, and 10,000 years of savings are all in the infinite heaven and earth map. Besides that, we've received a lot of blessings from heaven's will. Especially our emperor, he's already at the meditative realm. He wants to break through to the saint realm. Once he succeeds, we'll have the ability to protect ourselves. Break through to the saint realm? Hong Heiyu seemed to have known about this long ago. It's not that easy. If I help you, you might swallow me up. No, you're the son-in-law of the royal family. Chen Tianshu said, His Majesty has already agreed to marry the most honorable princess to you. Originally, your cultivation was a little lacking, but now that you're in the meditative realm, you're worthy of the princess. This way, you'll be part of the royal family of the Qian Empire. Think about it. Once we blend into the human society and operate in the dark, after a few decades, we'll be able to gain a foothold. How much power will we have? We can start a company and do all kinds of operations, forming a huge group. I don't care about all these. Hong Heiyu smiled. Father-in-law, you know my personality. You're too dangerous, and I can't control you. Even if I bring you into the human society, if one of you causes trouble, you'll be doomed immediately. Also, I don't want you to take revenge. I can protect your lives, and you can also blend into the human society, but you have to promise me to let go of your hatred and become humans of Earth. We definitely can't give up on revenge, Chen Tianshu said resolutely. Revenge? Zhongli spoke at this moment. Mr. Chen, your thinking is very dangerous. Putting aside the fact that your power is small and can't fight against humans of Earth, even if your power is big, can you exterminate the entire human race? There are already 800 to 900 billion humans on Earth, close to a trillion. They're spread across the various planets, and there are many saints. Who can exterminate them? In the past, you could still fight against them because of heaven's will. But now, even the heavens have been taken. What else can you do? Humans don't fight against the heavens. Humans don't fight against the heavens. Even the heavens have been destroyed. What can we do? Chen Tianshu looked deeply at Zhongli. Young man, I didn't expect you to have grown to such a stage. What a genius. Our Qian Empire has never produced a genius like you. Humans on Earth are really terrifying. Tell me, how many geniuses like you are there? If you are everywhere, we can forget about revenge. We could just cut our own throats and hang ourselves, lest we fall into the hands of our enemies and suffer humiliation. There should only be one student of mine in the entire human race. Hong Heiyu's tone was a little pleased. I'll say it again. As long as your emperor and his subjects swear never to seek revenge, not to disrupt the order of human society, and listen to my arrangements, I promise you that you can safely enter human society. I'll have to ask His Majesty about this. Chen Tianshu's eyes flashed, but he didn't answer. I'm right here. Suddenly, a person silently appeared on the mountain peak. Behind him were a few young men in purple clothes, and he had a godly bearing. The few young men and women behind him all had calm auras, and there was an earth-shattering power hidden in their bodies. Your Majesty, Chen Tianshu hurriedly bowed. Dispense with the formalities. The emperor smiled bitterly. As the ruler of a fallen country, etiquette is broken. There's no need for such formalities. We'll be friends in the future, and we'll go through thick and thin together. It's important to preserve the spark of civilization. Yes. Chen Tianshu also smiled bitterly. Hong Heiyu, I know you. The emperor also changed his tone. He didn't speak the language of the great Qian dynasty, but the ancient language of Huaxia. Originally, humans used the mother tongue of Earth, which was a unified language. The ancient language of Huaxia was only learned by some people with Huaxia blood. It wasn't widely spread among humans, but the emperor actually knew it. The I, he said, was the title of the emperor in the ancient language of Huaxia. It sounded very intimate, impressive. That was the only word that came to Jiang Li's mind. Jiang Li, I know you too. The emperor said, you are a member of a large family in human society on Earth, the Jiang family. However, you have a deep hatred for the Jiang family. This time, among the strongest experts who came to destroy the great Qian dynasty, one of them is called Jiang Nailin. She's a saint, and she also wants to kill you, isn't that right? Yes, Jiang Li said. I didn't expect the emperor to know so much about humans on Earth. He knew what the emperor wanted to say. Does the emperor want to work with me to deal with the Jiang family? However, this is an internal matter of my family, and it's also an internal matter of humans. Moreover, I don't have to kill everyone in the Jiang family. One day, when I become powerful and become the head of the Jiang family, they will have no choice but to obey my orders. That will have to wait until you become a saint. The emperor didn't bat an eyelid. No, even if you become a saint, you still have to go through Jiang Nailin. Jiang Li, you are indeed outstanding. However, the more outstanding you are, the more dangerous it will be. If you disappear into the crowd, Jiang Nailin won't do anything to you because he can't be bothered to do anything. However, if you become stronger and stronger, he will probably suppress you and kill you. Without a saint, he won't be able to protect you. Coincidentally, I am only one step away from becoming a saint. If I become a saint, I will be able to protect you. How about that? Give me 3 requests, and I can agree to them 3 times. How about that? This was a blatant threat and promise. Saint? Jiang Li was unmoved. If there was no Little Arch, he could be intimidated. However, it was impossible now. This emperor was strong, but he was worlds apart from Little Arch. I also have a friend who is a saint. Do you want to meet him? As he spoke, a wormhole opened behind Jiang Li, and an incomparably majestic aura rolled out. This is... The emperor's expression changed, and he couldn't help but take a few steps back. He felt the vast power of heaven, an incomparably familiar power. This familiar power was the will of the emperor's star. Heaven's will, a higher authority than the emperor. When the emperor offered sacrifices to the heavens, he also had to call himself minister of the rivers and mountains. Heaven's will. The emperor couldn't believe it. Chapter 273. The emperor sensed the heavenly will. He was the son of heaven, the son of the imperial star's will. In addition, the Qian Empire had been worshipping the heavens for generations. His sensitivity to the heavens was unparalleled. As soon as Little Arch released the imperial star's heavenly will, he knew what was going on. The heavens. His face was pale. Our heavens are in your hands. You've taken them? No, no, no. Jiang Li waved his hand. The heavenly will cannot be taken. It will only favor and choose. The imperial star's heavenly will has chosen us. What do you think? Your Majesty, what else do you have to say? This was exactly what he wanted. This group of people was extremely dangerous, but they had an incomparably large amount of resources and potential. If he could take them for his own use, they would be a force that no one could ignore. However, this was also a double-edged sword, hurting others and himself. With his current cultivation, there was no way he could control them, so he could only rely on Little Monarch. Little Arch had taken the imperial star's heavenly will and become the heavens himself. The emperor was also his son. He was more useful than any other saint in the Qian Empire. Originally, these Qian Empire experts wouldn't trust anyone. Working with Hong Heiyu was definitely a ploy. But now that Little Arch had appeared, it was possible that they would work for him wholeheartedly. Which saint is it? Come out. The emperor and Chun Tianshu looked at each other. They saw each other tremble and pale. With their cultivation, it was impossible for something like this to happen. Even if they died immediately, they wouldn't bat an eyelid. But the heavenly will was too important to them. They couldn't help but be moved. Everyone, the imperial star's heavenly will has chosen me. It wants a better chance to ascend. Do you know why? Little Thearch's faint voice came from the wormhole. The entire universe is a multiverse with countless spaces and planes. A high-level dimension. A planet isn't a dimension yet, but it has the possibility of becoming a dimension. The end of the multiverse, the king of dimensions, is chaos. If the will of this planet can absorb the origin energy of chaos, it will become a true dimension after billions of years of evolution. This is ascension. Humans ascend into different realms, and the planet will evolve on its own. Do you know? That's why the imperial star's heavenly will has chosen me. You, the emperor, and Chun Tianshu wanted to say something, but they had nothing to say. Emperor, I've received the will of the heavens. Naturally, I'll protect you guys. Now that a calamity is about to descend, you guys shall be under my protection. I'll protect you guys from harm. Little Emperor's voice was filled with unquestionable dignity. Even the Emperor could not refute it. On the Emperor's star, Little Tharch was the sky. The planet was under his control, and the great Qian dynasty had been worshipping the heavens for 20,000 years. Little Thearch's instincts were restrained. If it weren't for young Tharch, even if it were Jiang Nalan, these people would still fight to the bitter end. Jiangli suspected that they had the ability to fight against a saint, or perhaps they had the ability to escape from a saint. After thinking for a moment, the emperor suddenly made a decision. Heaven's Majesty, I, Chan Zhenghua, will follow the heaven's will. He bowed to Little Tharch, who was in the depths of the wormhole. At the same time, Chun Tianshu bowed as well. The young men and women also knelt down. They were all experts and could naturally sense the vast heaven's will that could not be disobeyed. So, this emperor is called Chun Zhenghua, Zhongli thought to himself. Chun Tianshu is also a member of the royal family? He has the bloodline of the royal family. In that case, activate the infinite universe diagram, Little Tharch said. Little Tharch said, I know everything about you guys like the back of my hand. Your infinite universe diagram is hidden in a small shattered dimension on Monarch Planet. It's hard to find. This treasure isn't refined on Monarch Planet. It's a treasure that belongs to the cultivation world. The entire royal family has been praying to the heaven's will. For 20,000 years, the royal family has been building, setting up arrays, and absorbing spiritual energy. It has completely turned into a small world. Now, there are 5 meditative realm experts in the royal family. They are you, Chun Tianshu, the Grand Marshal of the Armed Forces, the Grand Tutor, and the Martial God Prince. Emperor, your realm was originally at the 2nd level of the meditative realm. This time, the heavens will has favored you. Because you are the emperor, you have gathered the luck of the world on you and broken through to the 3rd level of the forgetful realm. However, don't think about breaking through to the saint realm for the rest of your life. Of course, if you have a fortuitous encounter in the future, it will be another matter. The emperor and Chun Tianshu were drenched in sweat when they heard Little Thearch's voice. They did not expect Little Tharch to know everything about them. There are many experts in the entire royal family. This time, the country is in danger. The civil and military officials, the royal family, and the college have all gathered in the infinite universe diagram. There are a total of 19,342 people. These people have been supporting the infinite universe diagram day and night, cultivating, forming arrays, and pouring their spiritual will into the infinite universe diagram. When all of you join forces, it will be an infinite universe diagram that can resist the saints and escape their capture. Little Tharch continued. However, this is just a struggle at death's door. It's useless. You guys don't even know how to create the infinite universe diagram. I have already created my own country. If you enter my country, your safety will be guaranteed. I will melt the infinite universe diagram along with all the resources in the diagram and create a battleship that can travel through time and space. It can jump through wormholes at any time. Even if the Emperor's star explodes and is destroyed in the future, it can be transferred to other planets with life. Humans all had the ability to jump through wormholes. The Queen, who was more technologically advanced than humans, could easily jump through wormholes. It's so blatant. Zhongli was very clear about Little Thearch's ambition. The infinite universe diagram was the accumulation of the entire great Qian royal family for 20,000 years. Once he obtained it, it would be no less than obtaining all the wealth of a giant human organization. In particular, the mineral veins, energy, and 20,000 years of the dynasty's fortune were the best nourishment for the queen. In particular, 20,000 years of the dynasty's fortune and the righteousness of the people were all concentrated in the infinite universe diagram. Although these things could not be seen or touched and belonged to the void, it was self-evident that they could heal the soul and give birth. The dynasty's fortune was the key to little Thearka's revival. In the history of Earth, there were no dynasties that had 300 years, but the Great Qian dynasty had 20,000 years of history. This was a miracle. Why? Do you have doubts? Little Tharch asked when he saw that the emperor and Chun Tianshu were silent. The infinite universe diagram is the foundation of our existence. Although you've inherited the will of heaven, our last hope is the infinite universe diagram. Without this treasure, we won't be able to escape the pursuit of the saints. You said that you want to integrate into it. This will deprive us of our foundation, and we can't accept it. Chun Tianshu's tone was very calm, and he didn't accept the suggestion. Although they had sacrificed to the heavens, they were still the most important. They couldn't hand over the foundation of their survival just because of this sentence. There's no need to rush. Take it slow. There will naturally be a level of trust between both parties. Little Tharch wasn't anxious at all. I've inherited the will of heaven and turned into the heavenly Tao. Since you've sacrificed to the heavens, I have the responsibility to protect you. Of course, you also have the responsibility to provide for me. Thank you, God, the emperor said respectfully. Our country has been destroyed, our mountains and rivers have fallen, and the royal family is in a precarious situation. I wonder how the heavens will guide us to restore our country, to rebuild, to defeat the humans on Earth. This was a test. The emperor wanted to gain some benefits. The strength of the humans on Earth is beyond your imagination. To be honest, even if Heavens was fully formed, it wouldn't be a match for the humans on Earth. At the end of the day, the Emperor Star is just a planet, and humans have already built bases on many planets. If this civilization takes another step forward, it's very likely that it will have its own dimension. That will be a more advanced civilization in the universe. Come, Emperor Chun Tianshu, come to my country. I'll explain some knowledge to you. Buzz, little Thearka's spiritual power penetrated deep into the minds of Chun Tianshu and the Emperor. After a long time, shock appeared on Chun Tianshu and the Emperor's faces. One exquisite array, it's enlightened us. When we go back, we'll condense the infinite universe diagram according to this. It will make the entire infinite universe diagram even more exquisite. What Little Tharch taught the two of them was how to build the infinite universe diagram using the dimensional technique. This was to benefit the royal family of the great Qian dynasty and slowly change their hearts. Of course, Little Tharch didn't want to harm them. He was truly protecting them. This Zhongli knew. Let's go back to the Starry Sky University. This is the karma between Little Tharch and the great Qian dynasty. It's not good for us to get involved. Hong Heiyu said to Zhongli, "We're humans from Earth. If we get involved, we won't gain the trust of the royal family of the great Qian dynasty." Okay, Zhongli also knew that this was Little Thearka's business. However, if Little Tharch benefited, he would benefit as well. Hong Heiyu waved his hand, and a huge energy suddenly wrapped around him. Then, he flew back to the Starry Sky University. This time, his advancement to the meditative state would definitely cause a huge shock and disturbance in the Starry Sky University. Rumble. After a long time, Hong Heiyu landed directly in the Starry Sky University. He didn't attract anyone's attention. However, as soon as he walked into his room, the optical computer screen suddenly flashed. Hong Heiyu, you're back. It was an old man in a white robe. He was of mixed Chinese and Western descent. He was the university's principal. Principal, you're back on the Imperial planet too. Weren't you busy with the election recently? Hong Heiyu's eyes flashed. Come quickly. I'll wait for you in the principal's secret room. The principal's expression was solemn. And your student, Zhongli, come too. As soon as he arrived at the principal's secret room, the principal was shocked. Hong Hei-yu, you've achieved the meditative state? That's right. I've achieved the meditative state. Hong Hei-yu's tone was very calm. He seemed to think that his advancement was a matter of course. This time, I came back to report this news to the humans' higher-ups, the highest military department. According to logic, anyone who has achieved the meditative state will automatically become a member of parliament if they enter politics. If they enter the military, they will be given the rank of marshal and directly control a fleet. Chapter 274. People in the meditative realm were one of the highest powers for the entire human race. This was because the saints were high up and they basically did not live among humans. Instead, they explored the mysteries of the universe. They basically did not care about the matters of the world and were not interested in the power of humans. Basically, all the saints would go to other planets to find opportunities and attempt to ascend again. Therefore, the meditative realm cultivators now truly held great power. Any meditative realm expert was almost invincible. They were high up and participated in the highest level of human politics. Once Hong Hei-yu ascended to the meditative realm, it also meant that he had officially stepped into the highest authority, the top of the pyramid. The original embryonic breathing realm, although also high up, was only equivalent to the middle nobles. Now it was the feudal officials. There were close to 1 trillion humans, but there were only a few hundred meditative realm cultivators. On average, there would only be one meditative realm expert out of 1 billion people. This kind of expert could even control a planet and become the planet's highest governor and first member of parliament. Hong Hei-yu's ascension was so fast that even the principal felt surprised and incredulous. He knew that Hong Hei-yu had already ascended to the mixed primordial breath realm, which itself was a miracle. He did not even dare to think about ascending to the meditative realm. From the embryonic breathing realm to the meditative realm was a huge threshold. Countless amazing experts were stuck at this threshold. This was not something that could be ascended through talent, but completely depended on luck. A person with talent could cultivate to the embryonic breathing realm, which was already the peak. To ascend to the meditative realm, it was fate. One had to have a fortuitous encounter or obtain a huge amount of resources to break through the limit and achieve the cultivation of a great grandmaster. Once Hong Hei-yu ascended to the meditative realm, he would immediately be on equal footing with the principal. As long as it was reported, the upper echelons of humanity would be in an uproar and celebrate the birth of another expert. The mental power of the meditative realm could feel many dimensions, which was very beneficial for scientific research. Hong Hei-yu, you and your disciple have improved too quickly this time. Do you have some things to explain to the upper echelons of humanity? Also, this was a failure to seize the Emperor's star. Did you gain some benefits from it? The principal said, Of course, we have to explain. Hong Hei-yu was not moved at all. I will explain this matter to the highest military department and write everything in detail in an email report. This is my responsibility. However, this has nothing to do with Zhongli. I hope that he will study quietly in the future. Don't investigate him anymore. I will explain everything about him. All right. The principal's eyes flashed. If you were mixed essence breath, you wouldn't have a right to say that. You would have to go through me to report to the highest military department. Now that you're meditating, you have the power. I'm waiting for the highest military department to reward you and confer you a title. Zhongli, from now on, you can cultivate and study in peace. Wait till I advance to the embryonic breathing realm, then we can talk about it again. Hong Hei-yu helped Zhongli take on the trouble. He could still handle these troubles after advancing to the amnesic state. Zhongli nodded and felt much more at ease. The series of matters had been concluded. Next, he had to cultivate well and study the fetus of the great. He had helped a lot with little emperor's dealings with the natives of Deqian. To be honest, with his cultivation, people like Chun Tianshu didn't think much of him. In their eyes, Hong Hei-yu had some weight. He was just a small student. Immediately, he came out of the principal's secret room and shrugged his shoulders. He felt relaxed and returned to his room to rest for a while. When he woke up, It was already night, and the sky was filled with stars. He turned on his optical computer chip and connected to the internet, preparing for the next step of his studies. At the same time, he checked the school forum to see what had happened. He wanted to understand the human news and the presidential election. Now was the time to start building up momentum for the presidential election. There were all kinds of strange posts on the forum, but there was also some news from the school's official website. It was the curriculum released by the school. Some experts came to give lectures, or some missions were issued to solicit the school's adventurers. Zhongli looked at the news and all kinds of information. At the same time, he wanted to see where he could find powerful mechanical energy. At the same time, he was thinking about how he could advance to the embryonic breathing realm. The highest mystery of the embryonic breathing realm was to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the second dimension. The spirit could break through that layer of nothingness and absorb the energy. He was very clear about this because after he had some achievements in his cultivation, he had read books in the library for a few months and understood a lot of knowledge. At this moment, he saw a message on the school's official website. Marshall Goliath has come to the Starry Sky University to give a lecture. Students can register to attend the lecture tomorrow at 8 a.m. on the official website. The lecture fee is $1 million star dollars. Marshall Goliath? The expert in the human expeditionary fleet? The man known as the Angry Fist War God? Zhongli saw this news and was excited. The Starry Sky University would invite some human experts to give lectures every few days. Of course, they had to pay a lot of fees. Marshall Goliath's level was meditative, which was equal to the principal. Moreover, he had fought for humanity for many years, led the fleet to conquer many planets, and fought against countless powerful creatures in space. He had made great contributions to humanity's march into the universe. He was a powerful man, but unfortunately, he was not of Chinese descent. Since he was going to give a lecture, Zhongli still wanted to attend. $1 million star dollars was an astronomical figure on Earth, but Zhongli felt that it was cheap to be able to listen to such an expert's lecture. If it was outside, not to mention $1 million star dollars, even $100 million star dollars wouldn't be enough to invite such a person. They didn't lack money. Zhongli immediately paid $1 million star dollars and registered to attend the lecture online. There weren't many opportunities to listen to such an expert's lecture. Moreover, when the other party was in the mood to teach, he would even select students and give them some benefits, such as directly imprinting a spiritual mark or tempering the student's body. It was rumored that 5 years ago, the Starry Sky University even invited Jiang Nailan to give a lecture. When Jiang Nailan was happy, he imparted an unparalleled technique to the leader of the immortal team at that time. He used the great curse of the King of God to open up his mind fog, causing his cultivation to improve by leaps and bounds. These experts did whatever they wanted. Early the next morning, Zhongli rested for the night. He was full of energy, and his body and mind were in peak condition. He went to a large classroom in the Starry Sky University. This large classroom could accommodate hundreds of thousands of people, but it was empty. Zhongli swiped his card and entered the classroom. He found a seat near the front and sat down. He realized that there were many people attending the lecture today. There were thousands of them. Even Long Tianlang and the others were here. Other than that, there were also some embryonic breathing realm experts and even student teachers. Gui Junzi, Jiang Hailong, and Meng Xingyan are all here? It seems like this is a rare opportunity. Fortunately, I signed up. Wang Rilai is also here. Long Tianlang and Xiao Kuang are also here. So many experts. He glanced around and realized that the students in front of him were very strong. There were even a few who had reached the divine breath and mixed essence breath realms. These were probably the members of the top 3 teams, or the vice principals. The members of the school's board of directors. The entire Starry Sky University was very complicated. Zhongli couldn't recognize all of them. Everyone sat quietly. They didn't speak or make any noise. This was a necessary quality. They were all like this when attending a lecture. They were waiting for the arrival of Marshall Goliath. Rumble. After an hour, everyone had arrived. The entire classroom trembled slightly. It was as if an explosion had exploded out of nowhere. Then, everyone saw a man appear on the large podium. He was wearing a military uniform and was 2 meters tall. His hair was tied into a ponytail. He looked like an artist, but his cold aura and silver glossy fists seemed to be able to pierce through all matter. Jiang Li's intuition told him that if this man attacked him in an instant, he would immediately turn into powder. Now, Jiang Li's combat power could roughly defeat a thought breath expert in the first realm of the embryonic breathing realm. However, if he encountered an expert in the second realm of the divine breath realm, he could only escape. If he encountered an expert in the mixed essence breath realm, he wouldn't even have a chance of escaping. His current spiritual power was 20. It was indeed strong, close to that of an expert in the mixed essence breath realm. However, his realm was too low. If he encountered someone one realm higher than him, he could still affect their minds and even hypnotize them. If he encountered someone 2 realms higher than him, even if his spiritual power was stronger than the other party, it wouldn't be much of an advantage. This was the analogy of a pound of cotton being equivalent to a pound of iron. According to the combat power, an expert in the second realm of the embryonic breathing realm had about 10 units of spiritual power. However, Jiang Li couldn't hypnotize this kind of person at all. He might even be hypnotized instead. The other party's realm was high. He could totally fight with fewer people and win against stronger opponents. Clap, 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 clap. This ponytailed soldier was undoubtedly Marshal Goliath. He had a head of golden hair, azure blue eyes, a high-nosed bridge, and fair skin. There seemed to be a sacred halo shining on his back. Countless people applauded, welcoming the arrival of this marshal. Marshal Goliath waved his hand. His gaze swept across the entire audience in an instant. It was as if he had a shocking power. Everyone felt a military might. They all shut their mouths at the same time. The scene was dead silent. Students are very good. Marshal Goliath opened his mouth. His pronunciation was perfect, but there was a sharp, murderous tone in his voice. It was as if everyone could see the golden spear and armored horse in front of them. He was like a tiger that could swallow 10,000 miles. Students of Starry Sky University, your quality is getting better every year. However, I hope to see an amazing and invincible genius. Today, I will explain to you the latest movements of the human army, as well as the mysteries of the energy of the multiverse during cultivation. I will personally demonstrate to you the use of the energy of the multiverse, as well as the current scientific direction of human research. At the same time, the main reason I came to lecture this time is to see which geniuses are among you. I will record them on behalf of the highest military department. Now, the military department has a mysterious plan to select talents. If you're selected, you can even receive the Saint's Empowerment. What? The Saint's Empowerment? The Saint's Empowerment? That's impossible. The Saint's Empowerment? A stone stirred up 1,000 waves. Chapter 275. The Saint's blessing is indeed tempting, but I don't need it. The heavenly blessing is even purer, more vast, and more mysterious than the Saint's blessing. Jiang Li was the only one who wasn't tempted by Goliath's news. He was now quietly cultivating and comprehending on his own. He didn't need anyone else's help. However, he remained calm. This time, he was here to learn, not to be in the limelight. Students, I'll begin the lesson now. Goliath swept his gaze across everyone present. Today, I'll talk about the mysteries of the multiverse and the direction of human development. As you all know, the only dimension humans have discovered is the second dimension. The second dimension contains the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, which can greatly improve our physical strength and increase our lifespan. However, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is a shallow form of biological energy. It can't truly make us transcend the mortal world. There are higher dimensions that contain higher levels of biological energy. For example, the cultivation world we humans are attacking now. Many people say it's a planet, but it's not. It's a half dimension, a huge half plane. It's a half plane evolved from a huge planet, but it hasn't formed a complete dimension yet. Beep, beep, beep. Under Goliath's guidance, a huge virtual image appeared on the photon screen. The vast universe appeared in the sky, and bright meteors streaked across the pitch-black sky. Then, in an unknown star field, a huge membrane of light appeared. It was larger than the entire solar system, but compared to the universe, it was still like a speck of dust. This membrane of light was embedded in the dark void, as if it wanted to merge into the depths of the void, not in the prime material plane. This membrane of light is the cultivation world we're attacking, Goliath said. Marshal Goliath said, it's about 3 times the size of the solar system. Inside the light membrane is a vast continent with all kinds of strange creatures, all kinds of countries, all kinds of sects, devils, gods, cultivators, monsters, dark creatures. Look, this light membrane is 3 times the size of the solar system. The entire light membrane is still constantly absorbing the energy of a dimension and then evolving, completely merging with the void and becoming a new dimension. A new dimension. And the energy this membrane absorbs is a huge, vast dimension. That dimension is filled with biological energy, one that's 10,000 times stronger than the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Perhaps everyone knows what the energy of this dimension is called. It's immortal energy. A student quickly replied, that's right, it's immortal chi. Marshal Goliath praised, everyone knows that when one's spiritual power is strong, one can sense all kinds of dimensions. However, even saints are unable to sense the higher-level dimensions. The bigger the dimension, the stronger the sealing ability. That dimension was filled with immortal chi. Even sages couldn't sense it, let alone absorb energy from it. The will of this cultivation world is millions of times stronger than that of a sage. That's why it can open up the passageway to this dimension and absorb energy from within to evolve the world itself. Everyone listened quietly, not daring to interrupt as they sensed the wonders of the universe. The planets have their own will. Everyone knows this. They want to evolve on their own. The ultimate goal of a planet's evolution was to become a dimension, and this cultivation world is about to achieve this goal. Marshal Goliath pointed out, therefore, we humans on Earth must seize this cultivation world as the foundation for our survival. Everyone knows that the human population is increasing, and it's increasing at an insane rate every year. If this continues, there will be less and less places for humans to live. There are very few planets in the universe that are suitable for humans to live on. Even this Emperor star isn't suitable for large-scale migration because of gravity. Moreover, humans live on different planets, and it's very inconvenient to communicate. If there's a large-scale war and the wormhole jump bases between planets are destroyed, we'll be in complete despair. Therefore, we humans need a stable living environment, one that's suitable for large-scale development. Therefore, we must seize this cultivation world. When Zhongli heard this, he nodded in his heart. Humans were expanding everywhere, building bases on planets one after another. However, they were too scattered. If there was a disaster, it would be very difficult to defend. For example, if Earth was under attack, humans from other planets would have to use wormholes to rescue them. However, if the wormhole jump bases were controlled by others, what would they do? Moreover, the planet structure was not stable. If an asteroid collided, it would cause a large-scale extinction of humans. Apart from that, there were space storms near some planets that often swept through, causing the planets to disintegrate. Even Earth, where humans lived, had a relatively stable environment. However, it had also experienced a few extinctions caused by celestial bodies. On the other hand, the structure of the cultivation world was stable. Looking at that light membrane, it was impossible to be broken. Moreover, the 3 solar systems were huge. They had a stable structure, rich resources, and even higher-level energy. There was the existence of immortal chi. This was simply a habitat tailor-made for humans on Earth. If humans on Earth seized this cultivation world, what would their development be like? Humans on Earth may seem strong now, but they are actually surrounded by danger. Our expansion has already attracted the attention of many advanced civilizations in the universe. Many civilizations in the universe have started to spy on us, harboring evil intentions. Goliath said, Of course, this is a high-level secret. You don't know this, but within a year, I've already killed more than 10 fleets from alien civilizations. If these alien civilizations launch a large-scale invasion, humans on Earth will suffer a devastating blow. These are some of the fleets of the alien civilizations. Take a look. More information appeared on the big screen of the optical computer. There were also some aliens that were not human. Some aliens looked like devils, with protruding mouths and monkey cheeks. They had 8 arms like octopuses. Some were made of bones like devils from hell. Some had 2 heads, fangs, and they ate human flesh and blood. Among them, the large ships were also very strange. Some looked like flying saucers, some were fortress ships, and some were strange like balls. These were the real alien civilizations. Think about it. If these alien beings ruled over humans on Earth and reared them as food, just like how humans reared pigs and sheep, what would the fate of the entire human race be like? Jiangli shuddered at the thought of this. This is the bone demon race. We named them because their whole body is made of bone and they like to plunder flesh and blood. Their mouth parts are huge, and after eating a living creature, they can obtain the memories of the creature. They're also very powerful, and their vitality at birth is more than 10. They wander in distant galaxies on battleships. Every time they find a planet with life, they come out to plunder. This is the octopus race. They are cruel, and they like to turn flesh and blood into blood pools to cultivate spores with life potential. Goliath introduced them one by one. These alien beings treat us humans like pigs, dogs, cows, and sheep. It can be seen how much danger we humans on Earth are in every day. We might go extinct the next day. Humans survive in the universe, and we have to be cautious and tread on thin ice. Ordinary humans don't have this ability, but you guys have the ability to protect the entire human race. You have to shoulder this responsibility and not fight among yourselves. He continued, you have to be broad-minded to improve your realm. Humans are weak now, very weak. All right, Goliath waved his hand. The cultivation world is humanity's current goal. However, this world has a huge will, which is the heavenly will. You guys know what happened to the Emperor Star recently. The heavenly will of the Emperor Star condensed. The saints came to seize it, but they failed. However, the heavenly will of the Emperor Star is not strong. The cultivation world's heavenly will is truly invincible. It strongly repels foreign beings. Because of this, it is very difficult for us to enter the cultivation world. Now, all the human saints hope to suppress the cultivation world's heavenly will and let us humans control it. That is the true control of that world. With our human technology and the cultivation world's heavenly will, the level of our human civilization will immediately rise by countless levels. Not to mention the vast amount of resources that world has. The sovereigns I did some calculations. If we were to immigrate, we would be able to gather a huge amount of resources. If we migrate, the average human's vitality will be more than 10 within 10 years. After 100 years, the average human's lifespan will break through to 500 years. When Zhongli heard this, he felt that it was true. Although the people in the cultivation world weren't that powerful, it was because they didn't know how to make use of resources. If humans were to go to the cultivation world and make use of all kinds of resources, they would immediately advance by leaps and bounds. However, we humans have already built a few small bases in the cultivation world. However, we are precarious and have to face fierce battles every day. But we have managed to gain a foothold and have begun to infiltrate. Our people have even infiltrated the large sects in the cultivation world. Today, my main mission is to choose the geniuses among you to infiltrate the cultivation world and enter the large sections. Step by step, you will be able to enter the upper echelons. Of course, if you're not natives of the Emperor Star, you will be rejected by the heavenly will. The cultivators of the large sects will be able to tell at a glance that your true aura does not belong to the cultivation world. When that happens, they will kill you all. Therefore, the saints of US humans will give you enlightenment and blessing so that your bodies will be filled with the aura of cultivators. Then, you will find an opportunity to integrate into the sects of cultivators. With your knowledge and the support of humans, you will soon be able to stand out in the sects and become outstanding disciples. In the end, you will even be able to take control of the sect. The goal of us humans is to nurture a large number of such disciples and overturn the structure of the large sects in the cultivation world. Of course, this kind of mission is very dangerous and challenging. Once you are discovered, your body and soul will be destroyed. So that's the goal. Jiang Li's heart trembled. Will my little brother, Jiang Tao, be like this? Trained by the upper echelons of humanity to become a spy? To become a disciple of some sect in the cultivation world? Isn't that very dangerous? Chapter 276. There were pros and cons to being an undercover agent. The cons were that it was very dangerous. Once you were recognized or assassinated, you would immediately be in extreme danger. The pros were that if you succeeded, you could obtain the resources of the cultivation world, and the higher-ups of humanity would do their best to nurture you. His younger brother Jiang Tao's progress was very rapid, and he even had the precious flying sword. He was definitely an undercover agent. No wonder he didn't come back and didn't take the entrance exam to Starry Sky University. It was very likely that he had no choice but to kill his own people. Let me tell you in advance, after becoming an undercover agent, you can't go home. You have to cut off all contact with your family and truly integrate into the cultivation world. Secondly, only we can contact you. Goliath said, if you're interested, you can sign up. Of course, I will also choose. You can't be an undercover agent just because you want to. Once you're selected, you will be focused on training. Our higher-ups will do everything possible to nurture you. This is a huge opportunity. Do you know? Whoever gets this opportunity will definitely be able to reach the sky in a single step. After saying this, Goliath said, this matter, I'll just mention it. You have to think about it carefully. I'm here today to give you a lecture and impart knowledge. I've finished explaining the cultivation world's knowledge. Now, I'll teach you about the various dimensions. Another dimension appeared on the optical computer screen. This was a world of flames. Vast, vast, boundless. There were flames everywhere. There were fire creatures living in it. There were fire giants, fire beasts, even fire mountains, fire rivers, all kinds of objects and cities made of fire. Everything in this world was based on fire. It was a world that humans couldn't imagine. This dimension is called the fire dimension. It's boundless. Although it's not as vast as our three-dimensional universe, it's still dozens of times the size of the Milky Way. This dimension is filled with violent fire energy. It can also be called the fire elemental dimension. As he spoke, he continued, the flames in this dimension are very pure. The energy is much greater than the sun on Earth. Look. As he spoke, Goliath casually drew some runes in the air with his palm. It looked like a magic array. Then, a sand table appeared. It was an energy sand table. A vast amount of energy vibrated and exploded. Suddenly, raging flames shot out. The temperature of the flames was extremely high. Just a slight appearance was enough to melt the entire hall. Everyone felt as if they were in the middle of an oven. This showed how high the temperature of the flames was. This flame has a temperature of 30 million degrees Celsius. If I hadn't sealed it, it would have spread out and turned an entire city into ashes. This is a trace of flame energy that I extracted from the flame dimension. It could be condensed into an 8-star energy block to drive the battleship. Marshal Goliath roared as he spoke. Countless rays of light burst forth from his body, compressing the flames into a faint red crystal. Everyone could feel the power within the energy block. This fire dimension is actually the kingdom where the fire giant, Surt, lives in Norse mythology. According to the legends, during the twilight of the gods, the fire giant, Surt, wielding the holy sword of Rewardin, destroyed the entire world. If the passage to the fire dimension is opened, the energy will pour into our dimension, and 100 galaxies will be destroyed. However, we humans on Earth can use the power of this dimension to open a stable channel. That kind of energy will be continuously transmitted to our world, and we will never lack energy again. Marshal Goliath said, it's a pity that the fire dimension can't be extracted through the power of technology. That's because we humans haven't completely mastered the space folding technology, let alone the dimensional technology. I extract energy with my own spiritual power. Moreover, the energy I extract is still considered a low-level flame energy in the fire dimension. If it's high-level flame energy, such as the cleansing flame or the destructive flame, I can't extract it at all. Even if my spiritual power comes into contact with these flames, it will be burned. If I extract it, even a small ball can burn an entire continent. Of course, in this fire dimension, there are all kinds of flames that are beneficial to the human body. For example, the glazed light flame. This kind of energy has medicinal properties that can temper the body, improve one's physical fitness, and expel all impurities, causing one's body to have the luster of a glazed, flawless body. As he spoke, a flame appeared in his hand. This flame was actually colorful. It didn't have any heat, but it gave people a refreshing feeling. "You come up." He glanced at the people present and casually pointed. A girl was pointed at by him. Jiang Li's eyes flashed. It was actually Serene. Serene went up to the podium. Marshal Goliath flicked his finger, and the glazed light flame seeped into Serene's body. Immediately, Serene's body was covered in flames, but she didn't feel any pain. Instead, she felt very comfortable. Countless impurities were refined from her body, and her skin began to glow. Circles of colorful halos appeared behind her. In the end, the flames settled in her body, making her look very holy. It seemed that she had obtained many benefits. Look, this is the magic of the fire dimension. Very soon, our technology will be able to open dimensional passages and obtain these good things for the public to use. And your quality isn't bad. Although you're a little weak, we need talented young men and women who are weak. Later, go and register. I'll record it in your chip. Marshal Goliath patted Serene's shoulder. You may leave. She's so lucky to be chosen by Marshal Goliath. This time, she's going to have a meteoric rise. To be able to know such a person, the clan will benefit greatly. However, her strength isn't that great. How did she get chosen? They need girls who aren't strong enough. I heard that in the cultivation world, there are many female cultivation sects that recruit disciples. The weaker one's strength, the easier it is to blend in. That's true. If one's strength is too strong, they will discover it in an instant, and it will be impossible to gain their trust. Normally, large sects need talented disciples who don't have strength, and then slowly nurture them. It's impossible for them to directly let an embryonic breathing realm expert become their disciple. They will definitely not be at ease with such a person. That's true. I heard that when humans looked for spies in the past, they wouldn't look for students from Starry Sky University because the students were too strong. It would be difficult for them to become spies. This time, I actually came to the school to look for her. Why exactly? Could it be that the war over there has changed? Stop guessing. This is the structure of the big shots. We can only go with the flow and listen to those big shots. However, we also need to find a way to benefit from it. Of course, Zhangli was pondering whether he should go and register or not. Being a spy was a chance to improve oneself and see the vast cultivation world. Of course, if one wanted to talk about being a spy, no one was more suitable than him. He had once dreamt back to the cultivation world and knew the information of many sects and sects in the entire world. His temperament was even equivalent to that of a person from the cultivation world. What he was worried about now was that if he went to the cultivation world, there would be no one to take care of his parents. Of course, the celestial stones and celestial energy of the cultivation world were what he dreamed of. If he went to the cultivation world, he would definitely be like a fish in water. Only by going to the cultivation world could he truly master the fetus of the great. Everyone, other than the dimension of fire, there are also various other dimensions, such as the dimension of metal, the dimension of darkness, the dimension of light, the dimension of medicine deity, the dimension of water, the dimension of wood, and the dimension of dragon. However, these dimensions can only be touched by the saints. I can only explain the theoretical knowledge and the mysteries of cultivation to everyone. Marshal Goliath continued to narrate. As if he was telling a story, many of the mysteries of the dimensions were revealed by him. At the same time, he also explained some important points from steadiness to embryonic breathing. All kinds of energy formulas, how to use mental strength to condense laws, and incantations were clearly explained by him. Now, you can use your powerful mental strength to condense energy formulas into incantations in your body and incantations into your cells. Then, you can use the genetic principles of human cells and combine them with the energy formulas. This method can speed up the condensation of your sacred fetus, making it more compact and sturdy. It will make your body more energetic and have greater lethality. He started to point out all kinds of techniques. Although Zhongli had learned the Great Emperor's seal and read many books, it was still not as good as when a peerless expert personally demonstrated it. A few hours later, Zhongli felt that he had mastered all the books he had read. The energy in his body started to compress under the influence of his mental strength. According to the energy formulas, it shrunk into tiny structures and injected into his cells. Every cell became stronger. Zhongli felt that in the depths of his cells, the energy formed a vague shadow according to the structure of earth, water, fire, and wind. It seemed to be the great emperor himself. In other words, when he cultivated the body of the great emperor, every cell was a supreme great emperor. After cultivating the body of the great emperor to a certain level, people would become immortal. As long as there was one cell left, they could be resurrected. Now, after a person died, even if there was only one cell left, they could clone an identical copy of themselves. However, the soul and memory would be completely different. This was something science could not solve. The body of the great emperor, on the other hand, injected the spirit and inherited memory directly into the cells. After the body died, the cells would devour energy and could be resurrected. They could grow into their real selves again. Even the soul would be their own. However, Zhongli had not been able to cultivate to this point. His cultivation was far from enough. Of course, his mental strength was now strong. Adjusting the structure of his body and cultivating all kinds of energy formulas was faster and more exquisite than ordinary people. "Student, come on stage." At this moment, he heard Marshal Goliath wave his hand and point at him. Chapter 277. Me? Zhongli pointed at his own nose. "That's you. Come up." Goliath smiled and beckoned with his finger. Zhongli instantly felt an invisible force lifting him up. He flew up to the podium and stood in front of the marshal. He didn't mind at all. This marshal was very strong. It would be easy for him to deal with him. "You're Zhongli?" Goliath looked at the student before him and smiled. "Your matter has been reported to the military. The highest military department has also transferred your files and information. You're still in constant stability, right?" "Yes." Zhang Li's voice was loud and clear. "Very good." Goliath's eyes suddenly shone brightly, and he punched. This punch was like a ghost. The instant it came down, it made people unable to determine the direction of the punch. However, this was a martial art, not a god. B-grade martial art, Ghost God Fist. The first move, Ghost God Appear. Zhongli had almost memorized this fist technique. He could even use it in his sleep. She also knew how to dismantle it. However, Marshal Goliath's attack seemed ordinary, but contained a great power that enveloped her from all directions, making her unable to move at all. She seemed to see many ghosts and gods suppressing her, and she was surrounded by an army of ghosts and gods. She was in a kingdom of ghosts and gods, a battlefield for great Azuras. Bang! Goliath's fist landed on his chest. He took a few steps back, and his body crackled. He felt that every cell in his body had been injected with a powerful force, and many spiritual wills were sweeping through his body. This punch wasn't meant to injure him. It was meant to test the strength of his body and the structure of his cells. What a powerful body! Goliath retracted his fist as if he didn't attack. He glanced at everyone present. "Everyone, today's class will end here. Class dismissed. Zhang Li, come with me. I have something to say to you." "Yes." Zhang Li was meticulous, not saying a single word more. At this time, Goliath had already brought him away from the back of the hall. They arrived at a secret room. Other than a large quantum computer, there was nothing else in the room. However, the marshal snapped his fingers and a set of energy chairs appeared. Sit, I have something to tell you. Zhongli sat down and found that the energy chair was very sturdy and the energy structure was very stable. His eyes flashed, and it was as if the energy in front of him had become data. Countless tiny particles were combined together according to different mechanical formulas, and then arranged, finally becoming matter in reality. He saw through mechanics, energy, and the structure and nature of matter at a glance. According to the formula of mechanics, energy was transformed into matter. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to see this structure clearly, but his spiritual force was powerful to begin with, and he had also gained enlightenment. He finally saw through everything, and there was a feeling of returning to the natural state of seeing through the source. Your body is very strong. Every single cell is breathing in and out, gaining energy. Your structure is very stable. This is a strange body. I've never seen a cultivation method like this before. Where did you learn it? Goliath asked with interest. This is a nameless technique that my mentor taught me, a supreme body refinement technique. My mentor has already advanced to meditative meditation. He will write a detailed report of what he has learned and hand it over to the highest military department. Jiang Li's words were watertight. What kind of status did Goliath have? Logically, he had to answer when Goliath asked him personally. This was an order, and also a military order. But how could he tell the secret of the emperor's body? Therefore, he could only push the blame to Hong Heiyu. Originally, Hong Heiyu wasn't much in Goliath's eyes, but now that he had advanced to meditative meditation, he was an equal existence. We already know about Hong Heiyu's advancement to meditative meditation. Every person who advances to meditative meditation represents one more expert in our human race. Goliath's expression didn't change. He has his secrets. You can keep this secret to yourself if I give it to you. All right, I'll be frank now. Today, I called you here to recruit you into the military, and at the same time, I want you to go undercover in the cultivation world. How about that? I'm thinking about it. Zhongli said seriously. This is a big deal. As one of the highest levels of the human race, you definitely know about my situation and my family situation. Right now, I don't say anymore. I know your situation like the back of my hand. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come to find you. Goliath waved his hand. I also know all the grudges between you and the Sun Moon Group's Jiang family. It's true that the Jiang family is a little harsh on your father, but they are powerful and have the support of a saint. Naturally, they are unscrupulous. This is a huge threat to you in the future. Hong Heiyu can't protect you. If Jiang Nailin wants to kill someone in a rage, no one can stop him, including our human president. What do you mean, Marshal? Jiang Li asked tentatively. It's very simple. The president can't protect you, but a saint can. A saint passed a message, and he can provide protection for you. He wants you to join his camp. Which saint? Jiang Li's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect a saint to pay attention to him. However, this wasn't surprising. His recent changes had indeed caught the attention of the higher-ups. Just the fact that he defeated Gue Junzi and Jiang Hailong was enough to make him a genius in the history of Starry Sky University. Not to mention Jiang Zhendong's research on Tai Chi rice and the sun and moon essence. It was hard for him not to be noticed. It's Saint Sisa. He has a conflict with Jiang Nailin and was even ambushed by Jiang Nailin. He also hates the Sun Moon Group. He has noticed you and thinks highly of you. He hopes that you can worship him and worship him. He will give you strength and provide you with protection. From then on, Jiang Nailin will never hurt you. Your father, mother, brother, and sister will all be well protected. Moreover, this time, we will make it convenient for you to infiltrate the cultivation world as a spy. In time, you will become an expert of the cultivation world. When the time comes, when we humans attack the cultivation world with all our strength, you will reap great benefits. Marshal Goliath snapped his fingers. You are a wise man. You should know that the more outstanding you are, the more dangerous it is. Although we humans don't want any outstanding people to be harmed, the power of a saint has already surpassed the political power of humans. Human laws are useless against a saint. Only a contract signed between a saint and a saint will have some binding force. Of course, Jiang Nailin didn't sign this contract. Moreover, he is extremely powerful and can challenge the position of the number one human, Wang Chao, at any time. Other than that, I have one more thing to tell you. When humans attack the cultivation world's heavens will attack humans. Its method of attack is to release many natural forces, such as lightning, heavenly fire, black holes. However, humans can overcome these attacks, so it's not a big deal. However, its strongest method is to create its own world's powerhouses. Under the blessing of their will, the outstanding powerhouses of their world will advance and use them to fight against foreign enemies. The main purpose of you sneaking into the cultivation world is to gain the trust of Heaven's will. With the blessing of Heaven's will, Heavens will choose you to fight against the human world. However, it didn't expect you to be a spy for humans on Earth. This is called crossing the sea by deception. You can hide from Heaven's will. Zhongli was shocked. Heaven's net has long arms. This is just a joke. Marshal Goliath said, "We believe that our fate is in our hands and not in the hands of heaven. Apart from me, there are no other gods. Although the cultivation world is vast, it is not a human. In the end, to us humans, it is just the will of a super optical computer. We are the viruses, and as long as we use all sorts of methods, we can completely deceive it and attack its system, finally causing its system to completely collapse. As for you, you will receive the blessing of Heaven's will and have endless benefits. We humans will even have more saints." This was stealing the sky and changing the sun, deceiving the heavens. After Zhongli knew about the Emperor Star's Heaven's will, he deeply understood how vast the cultivation world's Heaven's will was. This kind of thing was very dangerous, but the rewards were huge. Once he obtained the blessing of the cultivation world's Heaven's will, he would definitely have the resources to become a saint. I also have to tell you something. Jiang Nailin has already successfully deceived the Heaven's will in the cultivation world and has integrated into the cultivation world. In the cultivation world, his strength has increased greatly, and he has successfully killed an ancestor who was at the same level as him. The Jiang family has obtained that ancestor's cave, and the Jiang family's power has started to expand. Marshal Goliath stood up. "What do you think? If possible, I will report this to Saint Sa. This matter is very big. I hope you can consider it." Zhongli did not want to reply immediately. He wanted to think deeply. "Okay, think about it. When you're done, let me know. We have enough patience." Marshal Goliath was not in a hurry. Opportunity and risk coexist. This is a matter of life and death. You have to consider it carefully. If you casually agree, it would seem rash. Zhongli nodded and respectfully left. Marshal Goliath looked at his back and frowned, as if he was thinking about something. Then he relaxed. This kid has a lot of secrets behind him. Interesting. I wonder how far he will grow. But this kind of talent will not be able to obtain much in Starry Sky University. He must go through the tempering of blood and fire and integrate into the fate of humanity to understand the general trend. A saint has taken a fancy to me. Should I go or not? Zhongli was also thinking in his heart. Generally speaking, not to mention being taken a fancy by a saint, even being taken a fancy by a meditative master would be a boundless glory. For someone like Goliath to take a fancy to you, you would feel flattered. Countless human geniuses wanted to get close to a saint, but the saint would not care. Now that he had taken the initiative to take a fancy to you, there was indeed nothing to hesitate about. But Zhongli had secrets that could not be discovered by the saint. If little Thearka's secret was discovered, the saint would definitely snatch it. The saint would also be interested in the mysteries of the great Thearka's body, especially since the great Thearka's seal could open a chaotic dimension door. If he died, the saint would definitely want to snatch it, especially since Saint Sa was obviously not of Huaxia blood. This made Zhongli even more fearful. However, if he rejected the saint, it would be shameless, and he would very likely suffer the saint's wrath. At that time, Zhongli would offend even more people. In the end, he was still a small fry. Offending Jiang Nailin was already unbearable. If he offended another saint, he would not be far from death. Chapter 278. Jiangli had no choice but to reject. He was in a dilemma, and this troubled Jiangli. Saint Seesaw had another crucial point, and that was to make Jiangli worship him. This meant that if Jiangli agreed to this person, he would have to carry this person's image with him. Sometimes, he would have to pray, just like how a believer would carry a cross and pray when he had nothing to do. This was like letting the other see through all his secrets. This was unacceptable. Jiangli would not worship anyone or any god. Even General Goliath said that there was no god other than himself. This was the ideal of a cultivator. Many of the human saints had started to cultivate believers, saying that they were gods. Of course, they were worshipped by their families. For example, Wang Chao's family worshipped their ancestors. Compared to ordinary people, worshipping a saint was indeed beneficial. This was because if a large number of civilians worshipped a saint and prayed day and night, their devotion might move the saint and give them blessings. To be honest, a saint was no different from a god. This was the apotheosis of the human world. There was a period of time when saints vigorously spread their beliefs in the human world, causing chaos. Later, there was the saint's agreement. Any saint, unless their family worshipped their ancestors and did not allow outsiders to worship them, could not develop their own religion. This was decided by Wang Chao and many other saints. This was because the saints' preaching and apotheosis would definitely cause chaos in the human world. However, although there was the saint agreement, there were still saints who did sneaky things among the humans. Of course, the human government was well aware of this, but did not have the ability to control it. As long as it did not cause too much trouble, they were allowed to do as they pleased. Now, Saint Seesaw actually wanted to make him his follower. This was a suggestion that he could not tolerate. This was not a disciple, but a believer. A disciple was just a disciple. They had freedom of thought and could oppose everything the master said, but a believer could not. Everything the saint said was the truth. When Jiangli heard this request, his first reaction was to refuse. However, if he refused, he would offend a saint. The consequences were not something he could bear. He hurriedly left Star Sky University to inform Little Emperor. He wanted to see what Little Emperor wanted. As soon as he left Star Sky University, his body shot forward at a speed faster than the speed of sound. With his 20 vitality, he could fly at about 10 times the speed of sound. This was purely the speed of his physical body. This kind of speed was terrifying. Just a shockwave alone could tear a human body apart. However, his body was even harder than a battleship. Even Goliath could not help but praise him. Just like that, he flew through the air. In the blink of an eye, a thick fog enveloped him, and then the space around him collapsed and he disappeared. In the next moment, he appeared in the Queen Mother's base. In the secret chamber of Starry Sky University, a ball of energy appeared in Field Marshal Goliath's hand, which transformed into a special mirror. It clearly showed all of Jiang Li's activities, and even his voice could be heard from it. On the screen, Jiang Li was flying. His body tore through the air, producing a rumbling explosion. However, it gradually became silent, as if his cells had absorbed the airwaves. In the end, only a faint shadow could be seen flitting across the sky. This was clearly an extremely profound movement technique. Not bad, not bad. This student is very strong. Marshal Goliath turned his head and said to an old man in a white robe. The old man was the principal of Starry Sky University. What? Saint Sisa has taken a liking to this student? However, the saint's request is too harsh. The principal said she actually wants him to worship the saint. Does she want him to become a follower? This student is a genius and has a deep hatred for Jiang Nailin. He is a good target for the saint to develop. Moreover, the saint does not preach among humans. Instead, she wants Jiang Li to preach in the cultivation world and develop followers. This way, it does not violate the saint's agreement and can increase his own strength. Why not? Field Marshal Goliath was obviously one of Saint Sisa's men, but he was not her follower. Preaching in the cultivation world? Won't that be very troublesome? The principal was stunned. It will be very troublesome. Moreover, the saint cannot do it personally. None of us can go. Field Marshal Goliath said, Our strength is too strong. We are being watched by the will of the cultivation world. If we move even a little, we will be punished by the heavens. It is best for people who have not advanced to the embryonic breathing realm to go. Because people without embryonic breathing realm use all their physical strength, it is difficult for the cultivation world's heavenly will to detect such people. These people are also difficult to discover. Of course, such people are weak and cannot cause any big waves. However, Zhongli does not have embryonic breathing realm, but has 10 or 20 times the strength of embryonic breathing realm. Isn't such a candidate suitable? Moreover, he has the ability. I want to rope in such a talent, but since the saint has taken a liking to him, there is nothing I can do. I think Zhongli is a person with his own thoughts. He will not believe in anyone and will walk his own path. Will he reject the saint? The principal asked. Reject the saint? Field Marshal Goliath frowned. He has already offended Jiangnalan. Rejecting Saint Sisa is equivalent to slapping the saint in the face. He cannot bear the consequences. Sigh, the saint is the saint. He is above our human laws. Indeed, power is the truth. The principal sighed. However, why does Saint Sisa want to preach in the cultivation world? Because Jiangnalan has already begun to preach in the cultivation world. He has controlled a sect and turned everyone in that sect into his followers. He has also successfully deceived the heavenly will. His strength has increased greatly, and he has begun the initial process of condensing the godhood. That is why he can kill the saint of the same level. Field Marshal Goliath exhaled, as if he was venting the depression in his heart. Godhood? What is that? The principal was shocked. Does such a thing really exist? Godhood is an extremely powerful form of energy. It is the ultimate amalgamation of all essence, energy, and soul. It has the power to destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth. It controls space and time, and has the authority of truth. God is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipotent. That's because of Godhood. To us Westerners, it's called Godhood. To Easterners, it's called primordial Tao fruit. Alien civilizations have all sorts of names for it. I remember in the Lord God's AI, some alien civilizations call the Godhood the Emperor's relic. However, Jiangnalan has only begun to grasp the mysteries of the Godhood. He has not cultivated the true Godhood. Field Marshal Goliath sighed. If he really did cultivate the Godhood, he would be the first human. He would surpass the divine vision realm and become a true God. He would be what the Easterners call the great, overarching, golden immortal. Of course, this is relative. In the records of the Lord God's AI, even emperors will fall, unless they find the source, or chaos, and step into another realm. There are so many secrets that I don't know. I have seen the AI of the Lord God's AI, but there doesn't seem to be so much information. The principal was a little unhappy. The AI of the Lord God actually lacks power. Actually, the greatest secret of humanity is this AI. This AI is a virtual godhood. It was created by God, so it isn't a true godhood. However, it has the calculation power of a godhood, and even a portion of its destructive power. Humans still can't find the true energy to completely activate this AI. If the AI of the Lord God's AI is fully activated, then human civilization will rise to another level. Field Marshal Goliath said passionately, humans. In the universe, humans are still relatively weak. According to the records of the sovereign ship's AI, a race must have a god or a sovereign before they can be safe. Because gods can build a divine kingdom, which is a large dimension, and put all the races in it. Then, they can bring the race to various planes and escape at any time if they encounter danger. A race without a god is like a country without nuclear weapons. They will be bullied by others. God. The principal was also worried about the future of humanity. We humans must have our own god. However, if Jiangnalan becomes a god, he will treat us as slaves. That might not be the case. After a person becomes a god, their mentality will change. Their goal is the entire universe. Why would they be interested in human power? Field Marshal Goliath said, however, I don't wish for him to become a god. Actually, No matter what kind of person it is, they all wish for Wang Chao to become a god. This is because he has a broad mind and a selfless heart for humanity. He was once the #1 person on Earth, and his strength could sweep through any army. He didn't become a king, but he contributed greatly to the development of humanity. He isn't an ambitious person. That is indeed the case. It's a pity that he disappeared. Sigh, but he should be searching for a way to become a god. The principal said, I hope he returns soon. With him around, we humans will have a higher chance of invading the cultivation world. Actually, there's one more thing I didn't tell Jiangli. This time, the humans' invasion of the cultivation world is also a chance to become a god. Whoever obtains the cultivation world's heavens will be able to control that plane and use their strength to succeed in becoming a god. Field Marshal Goliath's gaze was sharp. No matter what, we humans will have our own god. The entire race will continue. Oh, Jiangli disappeared again. The principal suddenly said. As expected, a cloud of fog appeared on Field Marshal Goliath's energy mirror. Jiangli rushed into the fog and disappeared. I transferred energy into his body and can see everything about him. Why was the energy suddenly cut off? This, Field Marshal Goliath was shocked. This is a will that is much stronger than mine. I can't resist it at all. This will is even stronger than those at the 3 realms of forgetfulness. Could it be another saint? The person behind him is unfathomable. That's why I'm afraid. You should report this to Saint Seesaw. The principal also wanted to see what Saint Seesaw could discover. He was very curious about the person behind Jiangli. If it really was a saint, then Jiangli's status would rise like a rocket. From then on, countless human governments would want to rope him in. Chapter 279. Jiangli, why are there so many people spying on you? Little Emperor was the only one left in the Queen Mother's base. It was foggy, and there were many streams in the base. Those were spiritual liquids. These spiritual liquids seeped into the crystal cells, causing them to expand continuously. This was the process of transforming biological energy into flesh and blood. Human technology hadn't broken through to this stage yet. Therefore, human energy bodies would disappear after their energy was used up. They couldn't condense into a real existence. Little Emperor had just cut off the energy on Jiangli. His eyes flashed, and he immediately found traces of Goliath. He waved his hand, and the same energy condensed into a body. It was also a mirror, and the conversation between Goliath and the headmaster was displayed on it. He was giving them a taste of their own medicine. Little Emperor was extremely powerful. His strength had far surpassed the 3rd level of the meditative realm. Although he hadn't reached the vision divinity realm, his strength had been increasing day by day on the Emperor's star. He could definitely fight against a vision divinity realm master. Little Emperor, how are the natives? Did they reach an agreement with you? Jiangli asked. They're still worried for now, Little Emperor said. Little Monarch said, however, I taught them some divine arts to refine the infinite heaven and earth diagram more marvelous. Once it succeeds, the destiny of the dynasty in the diagram will be released and absorbed by me. I will also secretly use the Mother Empress's crystal body to attach to the infinite heaven and earth diagram and slowly control the whole diagram. One day, when the diagram is completely under my control, these people will be completely under my command. There are tens of thousands of nobles in this dynasty, and they will be my backbone. In the future, I can infiltrate the cultivation world and use them. Each of them has the ability to preach, establish sects, and develop believers. These are all the foundations for me to become a great emperor, or rather, for you to become a great emperor. Me? Jiangli was stunned. Yes, you, because the emperor's relic is yours, Little Emperor said. I'm just a mark in the emperor's relic. There really are gods in this world. Jiangli clicked his tongue and sighed. He looked at the screen. He could clearly hear the conversation between Marshal Goliath and the principal. Of course, this was a replay. General Goliath had stored energy in Jiangli's body, and Little Arch was able to use it to record his conversation with the principal and study it in detail. When Jiangli heard this conversation, it was as if a door had opened in front of him. Many of humanity's highest secrets were known to him. He had thought that the vision domain realm was an invincible existence, but now it seemed like this realm had just begun. There were still gods above. Condense godhood. Create a divine kingdom. Godhood was what Taoists referred to as primordial chaos Tao fruit. It was an existence that could truly protect a race. Of course, this was recorded in the myths and history of mankind. For example, the heaven, the Buddhist kingdom, and the heavenly court. Every religion had an ideal kingdom. This was the divine kingdom. A divine kingdom is different from a dimension. A dimension is fixed, but a divine kingdom can move. When faced with danger, even if a universe is destroyed, God will bring the race in the divine kingdom to another place and live safely. The many planets on Earth will be destroyed one day. At that time, Earth civilization will be completely destroyed, Little Tharch said with a smile. That's still early. There are still billions of years, or even billions of years. The entire 3D universe can still exist for billions of years after the Big Bang. Right now, the 3D universe is still in its middle age. Zhongli wasn't worried about this. You don't know about this. Little Tharch shook her head. That's the theoretical lifespan of a three-dimensional universe. In reality, the universe is constantly changing, and no one knows what will happen in the next moment. That's because there are connections between the different universes. For example, if the energy in the fire dimension universe is opened, it will cause the balance between the dimensions to be lost. It will affect several galaxies, and humanity will immediately face a disaster. Another example is the invasion of a powerful alien civilization. The Lord God's AI of your Earth's humans, as well as the civilization of the fallen warship, all have a god behind them. This is because the Lord God's AI is a virtual divine spark. Anyone who can create something like this must be a god. A civilization with a god can easily crush 10,000 humans on Earth. What should we do? Zhongli was a little worried about the fate of humanity. Only by becoming a god can we control our own fate and the fate of humanity, Little Tharch said. Lil Monarch said, after becoming a saint, you can control part of your own fate. After becoming a god, you can save the fate of your race. In this cruel universe, this is the law of survival. Gods are existences at the top of the food chain. The Grand Emperor's relic is a god? Zhongli was very curious about this. Yes, the Grand Emperor's relic is a dead god. It has lost all its power, Little Tharch said. Lil Tharch said, but it's still sentient, and it recognized you as its master. I've learned a lot about human society recently. If there's a human with the highest chance of becoming a god, it's not Wang Chao, not Jiang Nailan, not even Saint Sisa, but you. Me? Zhongli was stunned. How is that possible? I'm still in the stable state. I don't even know when I can reach the embryonic state, let alone the meditative state. The vision divine state is something that can only be found by chance. I have never thought about becoming a god. Because the Grand Emperor's relic is a dead god, it is equivalent to the position of a king. You are the crown prince of the kingdom, and you will inherit the throne in the future. Little Tharch said calmly, and the others will have to build a kingdom from scratch. How difficult is that? The vision divine state is easy, but becoming a god is difficult. The difference between the vision divine state and becoming a god is worlds apart. I won't think about that for now. It's just like how a commoner who hasn't even solved the problem of food and clothing wants to run for president. The problem I want to solve now is how to reject Saint Sisa without offending her. Zhongli sighed. I'm being restricted in every aspect. Why do I feel like I'm not as free as before, even though I have become stronger? Every day, I feel like I am walking on thin ice, afraid of enemies and problems at home. Is it true that the more powerful I am, the more trouble I have? That is normal. Many powerful people want to live like normal people. The more powerful you are, the more trouble you have. Of course, your power hasn't reached a certain level yet. If you become a god, then you won't have to worry about all this. Little Tharch said, you don't have to worry, I have a way. What way? Zhongli wasn't afraid of the saint. He just felt that it was troublesome and tricky. He wasn't worried about himself, but about his family. Promise him. Little Darch said these three simple words. Promise him? Me believe in him? How is that possible? I want to maintain my own independent soul. I won't believe in anyone. Zhongli quickly disagreed. Who told you to believe in him? Little Darch sneered. This is a chance, the biggest chance. We will steal his power and make him think that you believe in him, when in fact, you don't. The one who believes in him is just a blasphemy bug. Blasphemy bug? Zhongli hadn't heard of it. What is that? The blasphemy bug is the most amazing bug created by the Queen Zerg. It's used to steal God's power. It's created by the strongest Queen Zerg of the bug race. It's used to infiltrate the God's kingdom and attach itself to the believers to steal God's power, Lil Monarch said. It's something you won't be able to understand. How do you do it? Zhongli asked. Simple. You just need to bring the blasphemy bug. The blasphemy bug will condense into a mind wave and imitate your thoughts. Then it will believe in Saint SSA. SSA won't notice anything strange and will give you enough power and rewards. The power will be absorbed by the blasphemy bug. Then it will steal God power. Every God kingdom will reward the most devout believers. The Queen Zerg creates all kinds of blasphemy bugs to infiltrate the believers in the God kingdom, steal power, and blaspheme the God kingdom. In the end, all the power will be given to the Queen Zerg. This is the secret of the Zerg. They are like parasites. I need a lot of energy to level up, Lil Monarch said. If I can steal a saint's energy and spirit, my resurrection speed will increase by 1,000 times. Since Saint Sisa wants you to become his follower, I'll make him our food. You'll help him develop his sect, and I'll plant a blasphemy worm in his body for every follower he gains. When that time comes, the more believers he has, the more he will be doomed. Believers are his food, but now they will become his parasites. Amazing, amazing. The Zerg can do something like this. Zhongli shuddered. Even God can't discover it. God can discover it, but the God kingdom is too big, and God can't take care of it one by one. There will always be careless areas, but saints are different. Their spirit is actually very small, and they can't discover the traces of the blasphemy worm. It's still very possible to steal their power. This way, you won't offend him, and you can still steal his power. Why not? Especially since you're valued by him, and he hopes that you can help him develop his religion. He will definitely reward you with a lot of things. Little Darch became more and more excited. Hurry up and go. Tell this General Goliath that he agrees to believe in Saint SSA and build a sect for him. What about the blasphemy bug? Zhongli was confused. Your King Zerg. It has the blasphemy bug gene. I will condense it and pour my will into it. The King Zerg will change automatically, Little Darch said. Actually, it's very simple. I will control everything remotely. I won't let you get hurt. Then everything is fine. Zhongli thought about it. He would be hurt no matter what. He might as well go all out. But he still had to ask, how does the blasphemy bug work? Now use your heart to feel the King Zerg. You will find that its mind waves are the same as yours, Little Darch said slowly. Zhongli indeed felt that his little dragon King Zerg kept vibrating. It was gradually becoming the same as him. It was like a clone of himself. Even the frequency of its mind waves was the same. It was a complete copy of himself. This was the secret of the King Zerg. It condensed the blasphemy bug gene in its body. The Zerg Queen was unbelievable. Chapter 280. All right, I'll rush back to Starsky University and find General Goliath. I'll agree to Saint Sisa's request. I can worship him and see what treasures he can give me. As an expert that worships him, he definitely won't give me anything simple. Zhongli was excited. Tricking a saint was exciting and risky. It stimulated every cell in his body. He didn't feel afraid at all. He was like an adventurer who knew the place he was going to was dangerous, but he was still excited. This was the right attitude for cultivation. Go. I also want to go to the cultivation world. When the time comes, you can bring me there. Once we settle down in the cultivation world, it will be easier for us to develop. Besides, we are a part of the cultivation world. The previous owner of the Grand Emperor's relic was a giant in the cultivation world. Little Monarch said, you know that if we enter the cultivation world, there's no need to hide. You have the aura of the cultivation world on you. Destiny is on your side. That tycoon from the cultivation world is also blessed by the heavens. He swore that he would let you kill all the extraterrestrial demons. Although your curse has been transferred to Jiang Nalan, you still have the pure aura of the cultivation world as your home. This aura means that the heavens of the cultivation world will bless you. If there is anyone who can obtain the heavenly will of the cultivation world, it will be you. The one who can become a true god is you. This is destiny. Your life is better than mine. Little Monarch sighed. Zhongli asked a few more specific questions, such as how to operate the King Stoneworm and Blasphemy Worm. After that, he left for Star Sky University's base. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. His body tore through the air, changing positions at will. One moment, he was like a bolt of lightning. The next, he was silent. He was cultivating the Grand Emperor's wind seal. Now, he was flying like a dragon or a phoenix, soaring like a rock. His flight was unpredictable. After so many days of cultivation, his vitality was still at 20, and his mental strength was still at 20-dimensional units. However, his understanding of cultivation was quite deep. This was also a kind of accumulation. When it reached a certain level, he would suddenly see the light and break through the psychological barrier. Soon, he returned to Star Sky University's base and immediately contacted Goliath. General Goliath, I agree with the Saint's suggestion. I'm willing to do anything for him, but I hope he can protect my family. Ding dong. Not long after, an email was sent over. It was from Marshal Goliath. He sent a virtual video call. Jiang Li, come over. I'm very happy with your attitude. The Saint will not mistreat you. You can have whatever you want. The wealth of the Saint is not something that you and I can imagine. Come, as long as you sincerely respect the Saint and work for the Saint. The Saint will definitely not mistreat you. For a genius like you to be able to serve the Saint and believe in the Saint will definitely heap all the resources on you. The reply was the truth. The Saints would never be stingy with their followers. The believers themselves were the most precious wealth of the Saints. They had given everything to the Saints, even their souls. How could the Saints be stingy with their rewards? Everything a believer had belonged to the Saints. Jiang Li snickered in his heart, but he was also secretly on his guard. A person's faith in the Saints was an unreserved dedication that could not be hidden. However, the Blasphemy Zerg was different. It completely imitated Jiang Li, but it would block out many key information, causing the Saint to feel the Blasphemy Zerg's faith instead of Jiang Li's. This switch was very mysterious. Even now, Jiang Li could not understand why. Jiang Li slowly arrived at the headmaster's secret room and saw Marshal Goliath waiting for him. He immediately gave a military salute and bowed. Lord Marshal, I've already thought it through. I believe you've already seen my mail. Not bad. I've seen your email. You've done well. However, I have a question. Do you really believe in the Saint and do things for him? It's not a false belief. If you do, the Saint will clearly feel it. The heart is the truest side, and it cannot be hidden from anyone. General Goliath warned him. Saint Sisa cannot be lied to. Whoever lies to the Saint will be punished. You can regret it now. I won't regret it. Jiang Li said, I need my family to be safe. My parents will not be bullied by the Sun and Moon Corporation. They can live in peace. My brother and sister must live well. They must not be plotted against by Jiang Nalan. I need the Saint's protection. Good. General Goliath clapped his hands. I'll tell you clearly, Jiang Li, as long as you believe in Saint Sisa, you will be the greatest hero. The Saint is God. You are the Son of God, the Prophet. You are the Saint's spokesperson on earth, the Son of God on earth. You are the Pope, because the Saint's religion must be passed down by you and managed by you. If the Saint's religion is a corporation, you will be the founder and CEO of the corporation. Your future position will definitely be higher than mine. You are the Saint's believer. A believer is more important than a son. General Goliath was right. To the supreme existence, a believer was more important than a son. Even for an emperor, there were many sons who wanted to seize power and kill their father. But a believer would not. The Saint had absolute trust in his believer. However, Saint Sisa would never have dreamed that Jiangli would have something as heaven-defying as the bug of blasphemy. What do I have to do to become a believer of Saint Sisa? Jiangli asked. This was the key. Only by gaining Saint Sisa's trust would Saint Sisa truly reward him with the item. It's simple. I have a holy statue of Saint Sisa here. You need to worship him and believe in him with your heart. Communicate with him with sincerity, just like a believer to the Lord. The more devout you are, the more you will be able to sense the saint. If you succeed, Saint Sisa will appear. Swoosh! He lifted a curtain behind him, and suddenly, a holy statue as tall as a person appeared. This holy statue was of an old man with curly hair. He had golden hair, wore a linen robe, and held a crooked shepherd's cane. He had a high-nosed bridge, and his blue eyes were like the sea and the sky. It was simply refreshing like a spring breeze. Looking at this person, Jiangli felt like he was looking at a high and mighty God. He was benevolent, omniscient, and omnipotent. However, he did not pity the sins of humans. When the sins of humans reached the heavens, he would blow the horn of doomsday and launch an apocalyptic attack on humans. Just like God, the aura of this old man indicated that he was a big shot. This was Saint Sisa. He was like an ancient Greek god, one of the many gods on Mount Olympus. He was high and mighty, giving guidance to humans. Jiangli hurriedly bowed. He sneered in his heart and activated the secret of the bug of blasphemy. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. A wave of spirit force was emitted from the bug of blasphemy. It was exactly the same as Jiangli's spirit force. In fact, Goliath thought that it was Jiangli praying to the holy statue and pouring out his heart. He really believes in Saint Sisa? He could not help but be puzzled. He did not believe it at first, but now he could even feel the sincerity of Jiangli's soul. That's good. If he believes in the saint can know everything in his soul. From childhood to adulthood, even things that he has forgotten can be dug out from his deepest memories. Goliath smiled and nodded. At first, I thought he would definitely not agree. I even prepared all sorts of methods to restrict and threaten him. I didn't expect him to actually agree. However, it's no wonder. If I were in his position, I would also make the same choice and mix myself between the two saints. He was at a loss. If he refused, he would be courting death. Rather than dragging things out, he might as well just agree. That way, he would be able to gain the favor of the saint. Yes, he made the right choice. This is the only choice. Thinking of this, Goliath began to understand Jiangli a little. He felt that Jiangli's decisiveness showed more of his true colors. A wise man submits to the circumstances. In the Queen Mother's base, many phantoms appeared in front of Little Emperor. He said calmly, Saint Sisa, I obtained a magical artifact and a very strong spiritual force. In addition, I learned a body-refining technique. This body-refining technique treats every cell in the body as a worm, a divine dragon worm. Once mastered, the billions of cells in the body will all have the strength of a dragon worm. With a wave of their hands, they will be able to tear the continent apart. This technique is called the Dragon War Body. I obtained the Dragon Clan's treasure book. This is my fortuitous encounter. He was making up a lie. Through the prayers of the bug of blasphemy, Saint Sisa felt that Jiangli had really obtained the Dragon Clan's treasure book, which was why he was so powerful and talented. This was crossing the sea by deceiving the heavens. This was also blasphemy against the gods. In Star Sky University, Jiangli's prayers became more and more sincere. No, more accurately speaking, the blasphemy bug's prayers became more and more sincere. Waves of sincere spirit power were transmitted into the statue. It was actually absorbed by the statue and sent into the depths of space and time. This would definitely be sensed by Saint Sisa. An hour later, rumble. Sisa's statue gave off a resplendent light. Sisa had actually manifested. Goliath immediately tidied up his uniform. He didn't find this strange and said, Saint Sisa, welcome to Star Sky University. If you have any orders, I will do my best to do it for you. Although he was a general, he had to be respectful towards the highest power of the human race, vision domain experts. This was an existence even stronger than the president, a supreme being that surpassed human laws. No human laws could restrict them. General Goliath, hello, I am Sisa. Saint Sisa turned into a person of light with incomparable pressure. Thank you for finding a genius believer for me. He will become the pope of my religion in the future. I will let him go to the cultivation world and teach him my Tao, my path, and my faith. He is a true genius. Just now, he completely opened his heart and let me know about his fortuitous encounter and his secret. Of course, I also know what he needs. Take my key and go to the human elite district. I will take out holy grade energy blocks and celestial stones from the bank and give them to him. At the same time, send someone to Earth and tell him that Sisa is investing in his Red Emperor Corporation. Invest 1 trillion first and build it up. Do you understand? I will be here and personally help him cleanse his body. At the same time, transfer robots from the army to help his father build a base on Earth. Understand? Saint Sisa is willing to serve you. You have a special counter for saints in the bank. I will take out the treasures and give them to Zhongli. Don't worry, I will do my best to nurture him. General Goliath knew that at this moment, Zhongli had obtained Saint Sisa's trust. Chapter 281. Zhongli, I am very pleased that you believe in me. Saint Sisa smiled and said, I will definitely protect your family. Your father, mother, brother, and sister, I will protect them all. If they are willing to become my believers, that would be even better. If they are unwilling, I will not force them. I will still give them endless benefits. Thank you, Saint. My master will be invincible for all eternity. Zhongli knelt down. This was actually the work of the blasphemy bug. But Zhongli was secretly thinking about how he was going to steal Saint Sisa's holy power. This was simply too daring. But Zhongli was not afraid at all. He was only excited, abnormally excited. I know that you cultivate the 10,000 dragon battle body and have great potential. It is very difficult to achieve. I will give you power now and cleanse your body at the same time. I will give you some aura from the cultivation world. I am very satisfied with you. You are not at the embryonic breathing realm, and you are very strong. Haha, this is perfect. As long as you are not at the embryonic breathing realm, the cultivation world will not notice you. Once you advance to the embryonic breathing realm in the cultivation world, the world will think that you are from the cultivation world and leave a deep mark in your soul. This will make it easier for you to do things for me. Saint Sisa was very happy. Zhongli was very happy. The blasphemy bug was indeed powerful. As expected of an existence that could blaspheme gods, it could even deceive the thoughts of the saint and make him believe that he really believed in her. Actually, Saint Sisa was only controlling a bug now. The bug was blaspheming his soul. It was stealing his spirit. Of course, this could not be discovered. Once it was discovered, Saint Sisa would definitely go crazy and kill him. This kind of blasphemy against his soul and deception would make him a mortal enemy. Crack, crack! Just as Zhongli was deep in thought, Saint Sisa's manifested body suddenly pressed down on his head. Instantly, a rumbling sound rang out, and from the depths of the void, an endless amount of energy was transmitted over. This was pure biological energy, and it was very high level. It was almost on the same level as immortal Qi, but it was also different. Jiang Li's body changed in an instant, but the king worm in his body moved and absorbed all the power. For the king beetle to evolve, it needed a lot of energy to turn into a battleship. Jiang Li had not been able to find a chance to replenish it because it needed too much energy. Rumble. Endless energy poured in. This was the unique energy cultivated by Saint Sisa. This kind of energy was as clear as water, but contained a faint milky white color. It was holy and boundless, like the light of heaven. The body of an angel was composed of countless particles, each one smaller than a molecule. This was the structure of an incantation. This is my unique energy cultivated. It is called angel's blood. This is because my energy is like the legendary angel's blood. It is holy, white, flawless, and has endless power. It has a purifying power. I will infuse it into you now, so that every inch of your cells will be filled with power. When you reach the cultivation world and break through to the embryonic breathing realm, you will have completed your mission. Of course, I will arrange for you to infiltrate a large sect. When you go to the cultivation world, the first task is to secretly spread my sect. The second task is to destroy Jiang Nalin's religion. The third task is to fight for all opportunities to gain the favor of heaven's will. When Saint Sisa was infusing power, she spoke to Jiang Li with assurance and told him many things. Honorable Lord, how can I gain the favor of heaven's will? The blasphemy worm asked on behalf of Jiang Li. It's very simple. Now that we have invaded the cultivation world, the humans on earth are demons from beyond the heavens to the cultivation world's will. To gain the favor of the cultivation world's will, the simplest way is to kill, kill, kill. The more humans on earth you kill, the more favor the heavens will give you. It will even reward you. Sisa answered all of Jiang Li's questions. He felt that he could completely control Jiang Li's thoughts. Everything about Jiang Li, including the changes in Jiang Li's thoughts, were all clearly grasped by him. This kind of person could definitely be trusted. He was even closer to him than his own son. Honorable Lord, Almighty Lord, we are all humans on earth. If we kill our own people in order to gain the trust of heaven's will we be punished by the humans on earth? The blasphemy worm asked respectfully. It doesn't matter. Just kill them. If anything happens, I will bear the consequences for you. Saint Sisa was unconcerned. If we can sacrifice some humans on earth to gain the cultivation world's will, we are willing to do it. There are close to 1 trillion humans on earth now. If we can gain the trust of the cultivation world's will, it will be worth it even if we sacrifice 500 billion people. Who would have thought that in the eyes of a saint, every living human is just a number? Jiang Li felt a wave of sorrow. To him, every human on earth was a living person. They had souls, flesh and blood, emotions, anger, sorrow, and joy. All of this made up the world. His hometown, his friends, and his family. In the eyes of a saint, humans were just numbers. Even if I become stronger in the future, humans are definitely not just numbers. They are my brothers and sisters, my father and mother. We are a race, a family. Jiang Li swore in his heart. He felt that his cultivation of the heart had reached another level. But at this time, the blasphemy worm said, "Yes, Almighty Lord, your words are the absolute truth. Your will is the eternal heaven's will. I am willing to follow your path and die without regrets. I will spread your glory to the earth and release your might to every inch of space. I will spread your glory to everyone's hearts." Saint Sisa laughed. He was very happy because the blasphemy worm's words made him feel very satisfied. It was simply too comfortable. Crack, crack. The power took half a day to complete. Jiang Li only felt that the energy inside the king worm's body was getting stronger and stronger. The entire Worm King had gone through an earth-shattering change. Saint Sisa had spent a lot of effort to cultivate him. Of course, he was now a believer who was closer to Saint Sisa than his own son. At this point, Jiang Li had nothing to say other than praise. All right, now go home and slowly manage your family's affairs. I will send people to deliver all the things you need to your family. I will send Marshal Goliath with you to build a solid foundation for your family. As for your father, I will get him a position in the Earth's Parliament. Other than that, your friends will rise in power because of your dedication. Marshal Goliath, find good jobs for Jiang Li's friends and do your best to cultivate them. Let me know if you need anything. Yes, Marshal Goliath knew that he could not offend Jiang Li now. He had to curry favor with him because Jiang Li was completely Saint Sisa's man. There was no relationship more intimate than that between a believer and the Lord. The scriptures on earth were very clear about believers and the Lord. Don't think that I am here to bring peace to the world. I am not here to bring peace to the world. I am here to bring war. Because I am here to alienate people from their fathers, daughters from their mothers, daughters-in-law from their mothers-in-law. Everyone's enemies are their own family members. Those who love their parents more than me are not worthy of being my disciples. Those who love their children more than me are not worthy of being my disciples. Those who do not carry a cross and follow me are not worthy of being my disciples. Those who gain life will lose it, but those who lose their lives for me will gain it. This was recorded in the Gospels. No blood ties or feelings could resist the connection between believers and the Lord. This connection was beyond blood ties. It was the closest bond. Therefore, Marshal Goliath knew that Jiang Li was now completely trusted by Saint Sisa. In the future, Jiang Li's status would be higher than his. He had to curry favor with him. Unless he became a saint, he would be able to disdain Jiang Li. But before he became a saint, he had to win Jiang Li over. All right, Jiang Li, I will transmit my will to you at any time. You are now my spokesperson in the world. My will spread to every corner of the world through you. Go home and settle down, then return to Starry Sky University. I will have someone send you to the cultivation world. Almighty Lord, your words are the truth. I will obey everything you say. The blasphemy worm was still very respectful. It hid in Jiang Li's body and was transformed from a king worm. It replaced Jiang Li's soul to communicate with Sisa. After saying this, the light of Sisa's divine manifestation gradually disappeared. He left. Jiang Li breathed a sigh of relief. Now that Sisa had left, it was time for him to reap the benefits. A saint fully supported him and gave him wealth. He was rich. Even Luohan and Serene could benefit a lot. Jiang Li, congratulations on becoming Saint Sisa's spokesperson in the world. Your two companions are called Luohan and Serene. Marshal Goliath saw that Sisa had left and hurriedly said, I will do my best to train those two companions and let them enter the Soldier King training camp of the highest military organization. Soldier King training camp? Jiang Li had never heard of such a thing. However, there were many organizations in the highest military organization. Even Starry Sky University was one of them. The Soldier King training camp sounded like a very powerful training organization. It is one of the most advanced training camps for humans. First, the Lord God's AI analyzes your body and comes up with the best training method according to your body's most perfect structure. Then it provides a lot of energy and all kinds of martial arts to train you into the strongest Soldier King. This is because this is the highest secret of the Lord God's AI. Even a saint cannot make a perfect analysis of a person's mind and body. Marshal Goliath said, once you come out, every one of you will be a Soldier King, the strongest Soldier King. Thank you, Marshal. I will reward you generously in the future. Jiang Li hurriedly pretended to be polite. No need, no need. Marshal Goliath waved his hand. All right, get ready. I'll go to the elite area to open the saint's warehouse and take out the items that the saint gave you. Then we'll go to Earth together and build up your family. Chapter 282. What? Jiang Li has won the favor of Saint Sisa? Now Marshal Goliath is coming to Earth to help his family build a bigger base and promote his father to Earth's parliament member? What's going on? In a mansion in the capital of the 36 Hua cities, a large group of people were discussing this earth-shattering matter, led by Zhu Yuanshang, Chun Gang, and the other old foxes. The impact of this matter was like thunder to them. How could it be like this? A saint, a true saint. Chun Gang's face was pale, and his hands and feet were trembling. What should we do? What should we do now? What about the Jiang family? What should we do? Zhu Yuanshang said, Saint Sisa and Jiang Nailin are mortal enemies and they attack each other. It is only natural that Saint Sisa is training Jiang Li, and Jiang Li has given the patent of Taiji rice to Star Sky University. Obviously, he has received the best protection from Star Sky University. The Jiang family can't do anything to Jiang Li now, but we have to be cautious. Neither Jiang Nailin nor Saint Sisa are people we can offend. Let's wait and see what happens. When Marshal Goliath arrives, we will go and greet him. He's a real big shot. Even the #1 man on Earth can't compare to him. Beep, beep, beep. A message appeared on the optical computer screen. Marshal Goliath's warship has arrived at the base. Let's go and greet him immediately. We can't afford to be negligent. I think many of the parliament members on Earth are also here. Since Marshal Goliath has come to our 36 Huacheng, we can take this opportunity to rope him in. Normally, we don't even have the chance to come into contact with this person. Even if this kind of big shot helps our 36 watching a little, our economy will soar. Let's go. The parliament members of the 36 Hua cities all moved, forming a huge welcoming team and walked toward the wormhole jump base. Boom! As soon as Zhongli walked out of the warship, he was shocked. There were welcoming parties everywhere. Thousands of small warships formed many words in the air. Welcome to Earth, Marshal Goliath. These small battleships were not the starfish of Starry Sky University. Instead, it was the mountain battleship of much inferior quality. The cost of such a warship was only about 100 million. The lowest construction cost of the starfish battleship was 4 billion, not including the interior decorations. Of course, the mountain battleship was also extremely powerful and could completely suppress all the riots on Earth. These people are all here from Marshal Goliath. Zhongli knew very well that the first thing he saw were a few counselors cheering on the base. These counselors were big shots. They were not the counselors of the 36 Hua cities, but the counselors of Earth. To the entire human race, every planet was a province in the era of the previous country. And 36 Huacheng was just one of the cities in the province. The counselors of the 36 Hua cities could only be called local tycoons. As for the counselors on Earth, they were the feudal officials. Most of the senators on Earth were Caucasians, but there were also a few Asians. This was also a kind of political situation. The first member of the Earth's government was a man named Andrew. He was of mixed Chinese and Western descent. His ability was actually at the embryonic breathing realm. His eyes twinkled. He was wearing a counselor's robe and hat, somewhat similar to that of a judge. This was the official uniform. Other than that, there were also many strong practitioners following beside him. However, he was the only one at the embryonic breathing realm. The others were all strong practitioners with a vitality of more than 10. These people were naturally also qualified to be a counselor. Although he was an embryonic breathing realm strong practitioner, Andrew was somewhat subservient at this moment. He was very respectful and humble in front of Marshal Goliath. Marshal, welcome to Earth for an inspection. This time, I am not here to Earth's market. I am here to cooperate and invest with Jiang Li's Red Emperor Group. Our highest military department is very interested in the Red Emperor Group's research, and we already know that the Red Emperor Group's technology is a secret of mankind. The highest military department wants to build a base to protect the Red Emperor Group and protect the great scientist Jiang Zhendong. Saint Sisa is also very interested in this matter, so she has invested 1 trillion star dollars to build this base. From now on, the Red Emperor Group will be under the control of the highest military department and will not be controlled by the local government or Earth's government. Do you understand? Once he was down, Marshal Goliath announced a series of things. Yes, no one dared to oppose him. One had to know that Marshal Goliath was one of the strongest existences in the military, second only to a few grand marshals. With great power in his hands, he could destroy a mountain peak with a wave of his hand. However, this was not the key point. The key point was that he had Saint Sisa behind him. She was an existence that was above the laws of mankind. Who would dare to go against her? Also, the highest elite government of mankind has already issued an order. Jiang Zhendong has made a great contribution to mankind and is a great scientist. He is now appointed as one of the counselors of the Earth's government. Yes, after listening to the series of appointments, Zhu Yuanshang and the other counselors of the 36 Hua Cheng looked at each other. Originally, they still had the possibility of negotiating with Jiang Li, but now they didn't even have the chance to do so. This was because Jiang Zhendong's status was above theirs. A higher official could crush someone to death. The counselors of Earth were equivalent to provincial officials in the era of the country, while the 36 Huacheng were merely city officials. In turn, they had to be commanded by Jiang Zhendong. What exactly did Jiang Li give to Saint Sisa? She actually treats him like her own son? There are really too many benefits this time, Zhu Yuanshang said calmly. Zhu Yuanshang said calmly, Sai, I don't know how Jiang Li got so lucky. This way, it's proven that Saint Sisa is completely on his side. The Crimson Emperor Corporation has become the highest military organization, and even the government can't do anything about it. Now that the 36 Hua Cheng have no restrictions on him, it seems like we have to change our methods. At this moment, Marshal Goliath pointed at them and said, "You are the counselors of the 36 Hua Cheng?" "Yes, yes, yes." The counselors immediately nodded like chicks pecking at rice. "Greetings, Marshal. In the future, the highest military department will send a large number of troops to restructure the Red Emperor Corporation. I hope that you will cooperate and draw out an ocean for the Red Emperor Corporation to build a large-scale research base. Also, the black market in Suhua City has been outside the law for so many years. This is not a good sign for mankind. Now, we will requisition the black market in Suhua City and incorporate it into the Red Emperor Corporation." Marshal Goliath directly issued an order. They were finally going to take action against the black market. This, Zhu Yuanshang and the other counselors looked at each other. "I'm afraid this will cause a huge disturbance in the 36 Hua Cheng City. There will be a decline in the economy. In addition, there are many large corporations and powerful forces operating the black market. If we touch their cheese, I'm afraid it will cause political unrest." "What political unrest? That's complete nonsense." Marshal Goliath laughed coldly. "It's a joke for humans to have an organization like the black market. Remember, the highest military department is here to clean up trash. Suppressing bandits is to suppress bandits, understand? Those corporations in the black market are not clean to begin with, and they have violated many human laws. Now, we are not pursuing their responsibility, but only confiscating their assets in the black market. What else do they want? Moreover, the black market is not protected by the law. The military must eradicate this tumor. Pass down my order, surround the black market, and don't let a single person leave. Then, the military will enter and lock up everyone. Take away their weapons one by one and escort them out naked. Turn the black market in Suhua City into an empty city." "Yes, sir." In a huge battleship, many soldiers wearing armor appeared, especially a few of them. They weren't wearing sonic mechas, but high martial mechas. These soldiers rode on armored vehicles and flew in the direction of the black market in Suhua City. "Earth's military, cooperate with us. I will now announce the military's order to destroy this evil country and turn the entire Suhua City into a military base. We will conduct large-scale research." Marshal Goliath was swift and decisive. "From today onwards, I don't want any human cities to have lawlessness." When Zhongli heard this, his eyes flashed. He didn't expect Marshal Goliath to be so powerful. He actually wiped out the entire black market in Glory Ruin City, leaving only the Crimson Emperor Corporation. This way, the Crimson Emperor Corporation would be able to occupy a major city. If it was normal times, a city with countless residents would not be occupied, not even by the president. However, the black market was different. The black market was lawless, and it was a tumor in itself. The military's destruction of the black market gave them an innate advantage in public opinion. After the destruction of the black market, the Red Emperor Group and the highest military department naturally occupied the city and began to develop it on a large scale. The higher-ups had the power to topple mountains and overturn seas. With Marshal Goliath's order, they immediately used Earth's own military and began to surround the black market on a large scale. Then, teams of soldiers wearing mechas entered the black market and began to drive the humans away. At the same time, many battleships blocked the sky and produced signal interference. This meant that the people in the black market couldn't communicate with the outside world. Many gangsters dared to resist, but they were mercilessly strangled by the military. The entire city underwent an earth-shattering change. Everyone in the city was ordered to gather in the plaza. Then, the battleship fired a beam of light to check if they had any weapons on them. Anyone who had a weapon, a beam of light shone down and sucked it away. Then, the people in the city, regardless of men or women, were driven to the train and transported to the outside city. In less than a day, the huge black market in Suhua City became an empty city. However, this didn't stop Marshal Goliath. He ordered a large number of robots to enter the black market and carry out a major transformation of the city according to the feng shui pattern. In the city hall of the 36 cities, Marshal Goliath sat in the main seat and looked at many reports in detail. There were also a few battleships parked outside. Zhangli, the battleships outside contain the resources that Saint Sisa gave you. Go and count them before handing them over to me. Chapter 283. Zhangli was feeling great. He opened the battleship and found many spirit stones. There were fire, wood, metal, thunder, all kinds of spirit stones piled up like mountains. There were also many elixirs. Some were used to cleanse the human body, some to control the body, and some to strengthen the mind. Among these elixirs, there were products of modern technology and some from the cultivation world. There was also a large number of foundation establishment elixirs or meditation elixirs. Zhangli didn't need these elixirs, but Saint Sisa gave them to him so that he could cultivate talents and believers for his religion. In addition, in the most precious box, Zhangli found sacred energy blocks, immortal stones, and 2 types of high-grade energy. These 2 types of energy could be used for Little Thearka's advancement. Zhangli didn't know how Little Tharch had tricked Saint Sisa. The gist of it was that he didn't get the Grand Emperor's relic, but the mysterious Dragon Bible of the universe. He cultivated the 10,000 dragon battle body, and now he was building a base called the Dragon Nest. He needed large amounts of biological and mechanical energy. Saint Sisa received this information and strongly supported Zhangli. Little Tharch could benefit greatly from it. In fact, the dragon race was also a type of bug. The queen bug was a miniature version of the dragon god. The highest level of bugs created by the queen bug contained the dragon god's bloodline. The wealth that Saint Sisa had given him was equivalent to more than 100 Scarlet Emperor corporations combined. Of course, this was nothing for a saint. That was because saints could open many dimensions and obtain countless resources from them. For example, opening the metal dimension, he could take as much metal as he wanted. Opening the wood dimension, countless elixirs would come rolling in. At the saint level, wealth was nothing. The wealth of the strongest human corporations, the strongest business organizations, and even the human government couldn't compare to that of a saint. That was why saints could surpass human laws. A great scientist once said that if saints could serve humans wholeheartedly, the entire human civilization would leap thousands of years. Unfortunately, saints are all too busy cultivating. They spent their days in the depths of the universe or in various dimensions in search of things that could help them break through. How could they serve humans? They were free and unfettered, and their whereabouts were elusive. Any saint's spirit could travel through many dimensions. Once they entered a meditative state, decades would pass. It could be said that this dream lasted for thousands of autumns. What year was it today? Zhangli, these resources were given to you by Saint Sisa. Now that I've finished counting them, call your sister over. I'll help her cleanse her body and make a breakthrough. As for your brother Jiang Tao, he's currently completing a secret mission in the cultivation world, so I can't make him come over. Let's wait for another time. Marshal Goliath commanded the army to clean up the black market while carrying out large-scale construction. Then, following Saint Sisa's instructions, he began to nurture Zhangli's family. All right, Zhangli was naturally overjoyed. As he thought to himself, there were too many benefits to deceiving Saint Sisa. If he refused, the Crimson Emperor Corporation would probably collapse. At this point, he finally understood the power of a saint. In human society, a random sneeze could cause storms, landslides, and tsunamis. Jiang Xian was called over and respectfully bowed to Marshal Goliath. Marshal Goliath couldn't be bothered to say much. He slapped Jiang Xian's head with his palm. Instantly, endless flames wrapped around Jiang Xian, condensing into fire dragons that drilled in and out of her 7 orifices. Then, Marshal Goliath shook again. A tear-like object fell down and turned into a holy white mist that enveloped Jiang Xian's body. Angel's tear. Zhangli was shocked. That's right, it's Angel's tear. Marshal Goliath nodded in admiration. I didn't expect you to be able to recognize this thing. Angel's tear isn't a human medicine, but a medicine from a fallen human ship. It's a liquid formed by the fusion of many dimensional energies and the purest divine power. Even the elites of human society only produce around 3,000 drops of angel's tear every year with the help of the Lord's ship's optical computer. For Saint Sisa to give 4 drops to nurture your family, it shows how much she values your family. Angel's tear was a strange liquid. It was holy, vast, and contained incredible energy. After anyone consumed it, their perception, foundation, spirit, cells, and flesh would all undergo incredible changes. It would give off a heavenly glow. For example, a person's talent could only advance to Chongding's realm. No matter how many resources they had, they wouldn't be able to break through. But after consuming Angel's tear, they would have the potential to break through. A person's talent was very mysterious. It included potential, foundation, wisdom, willpower, all sorts of factors. An angel's tear was a miraculous existence that could increase one's talent. In other words, it could purify a person into something like an angel. Originally, this was something from a fallen ship. Even saints couldn't produce it. Only the Lord's optical computer could produce a few thousand drops every year. And these few thousand drops were like a drop in the bucket for the entire human race. Every year, once it was produced, it would be divided up by the rich and powerful in the elite zone. This thing couldn't be measured by value. It couldn't be bought even with money. For example, in the era of nations, no matter how rich a businessman was, he couldn't buy a nuclear warhead. After being baptized by Angel's tear, Jiang Xian's entire body emitted a holy light. A huge amount of energy even condensed into a faintly discernible pair of white wings on her back. These were energy wings. At the same time, Jiang Xian's mental strength and life force were constantly increasing. In Jiang Li's eyes, his sister's life force soared to 10 in a short while before it slowly stopped. This was simply breaking the rules of the cultivation of life force. Angel's tear was indeed one of the strongest medicines of the human race, especially the pair of white energy wings on Jiang Xian's back. They were very wide and could completely wrap her up. With a slight flap, a strong storm would be generated. In a short while, the empowerment was completed. The pair of white energy wings also returned to Jiang Xian's body. Marshal Goliath let out a long sigh. He seemed to be very tired, but he still opened his mouth and said, "Jiang Li, your sister has already refined Angel's tear. The miraculous thing about this drop of liquid is that it can improve one's talent. It can also form a huge amount of energy in the body and form a pair of angel wings. These wings can allow one to fly and protect oneself. Once they are closed, any attack below the embryonic breathing realm can't do anything to you, including flying swords. This is the miraculous thing about Angel's tear. Then isn't my sister deserving of the first place in the Starry Sky University this time around?" Jiang Li laughed. "With your sister's current ability, why does she still want to go to the Starry Sky University?" Marshal Goliath said, "I have a few government positions here. She can choose one of them or join the army. How about that? She can work in my fleet and be a soldier of a warship to fight against the extraterrestrial civilization. I want to become a star trooper and fight against the extraterrestrial civilization," Jiang Xian immediately said. "That's good. From now on, you are a soldier of my fleet. I will handle the procedures for you." Marshal Goliath's eyes flashed. He had used up a drop of Angel's tear to make Jiang Xian stronger. Naturally, he had to keep her firmly in his hands. This talent couldn't be given to others. That was the only way it was worth it. A person who had consumed Angel's tear would become a capable talent with a little training. Not long after, when Jiang Xian advanced to the embryonic breathing realm, she would become a capable general under him. Moreover, by keeping Jiang Xian under his command, he would form a bond with Jiang Li. In the future, it would be easier to form a relationship with Saint Sisa. Saint Sisa was an emperor. Both Jiang Li and Marshal Goliath were ministers. Although Jiang Li's cultivation was far below Marshal Goliath's, his level of trust was higher than Marshal Goliath's. Of course, Marshal Goliath could also choose to believe in Saint Sisa. Then, his status would be far above Jiang Li's. However, how could a person like him give up his own soul and rely on others? He was very ambitious and wanted to advance to the saint realm. Actually, after Jiangli chose to believe in Saint Seesaw, although he had obtained many benefits, Marshal Goliath still disapproved of it. He mocked Jiangli for being short-sighted. This was because Jiangli had lost the possibility of growth. For a practitioner, this was practically suicide. No matter how many benefits there were, how could it compare to self? Even if you gave me the whole world, I would not give up on myself. That's good. The training at Starry Sky University is actually nothing much. Piloting a battleship and fighting alien creatures is the real training. Jiangli knew that every year, the human army would fight a large number of alien creatures to prevent human beings from being invaded. This kind of warrior was the real strong. Starry Sky University was just a group of students. Every year, the highest human military department would select students from Starry Sky University for training and then fight with alien creatures. Only after experiencing blood and fire could a student become a warrior. Here are 2 drops of angel's tears. Give them to your parents, especially your father. After taking angel's tears, he can live for at least 200 years or even 300 years. His brain cells will be greatly enhanced and his scientific research will be more creative. A box appeared in Jiang Li's hands. Inside were 2 drops of tear-like milky white liquid sealed in a crystal. Jiang Li's hands trembled a little. This thing was really invincible. Even Hong Heiyu could not get his hands on it. He could tell that Marshal Goliath was reluctant to give him the angel's tears. It was obvious that he could only get a few drops every year, or maybe not even a single drop. Only Saint Sisa could get so many angel's tears in one go. The matter at hand is done. I will give you temporary military power. You will control the battleship and the army. You will build the black market and the Red Emperor Group's base. In 3 months, it will be on the right track. When that time comes, it will be time for you to go to the cultivation world. Understand? I will go back and report to Saint Seesaw. Marshal Goliath left just like that. Chapter 284. The black market and Suhua City were all cleaned up, and large-scale construction began. Many robots and supplies were constantly transported into the city, and every day, the whole city gave off a feeling of being reborn. After the city was completed, it would become a huge, secret military base, the headquarters of the Crimson Emperor Group. The poisonous resentment accumulated in the black market was completely dissolved under the effect of the feng shui layout. As a supreme master of the meditative state, how could Marshal Goliath not understand the feng shui layout? He had long seen that the feng shui layout of the 36 cities was a large formation, the Heavenly Dipper Formation. The Suhua City was the eye of the formation to vent the waste gas and resentment. But after his transformation, the city became a city of pearls. He had transformed the black market of the flourishing ruined city with a chaotic pattern. From the looks of it, the huge flourishing ruined city would gradually condense into the appearance of a natural chaotic sphere with concentric circles that looked like coiled snakes. Looking down from the sky, the feng shui layout was like the flood dragon in the Yellow Springs. It was obscure, and the rings of cities were like the bodies of Krite and Krite. At the very center, there was a large fong-shaped building, which was the mouth of the flood dragon. It could attack the enemy and protect itself, and at the same time, it didn't hinder the 36 cities from venting their resentment. This feng shui layout was comprehensive, and it ensured the long-term stability of the 36 cities, as well as the peace and aggressiveness of the Crimson Emperor Group. At the same time, the radiation in the black market of the Suhua City was gradually eliminated. The robots absorbed the radiation every day, and the radiation that would have taken hundreds of years to eliminate was completely eliminated in a few months. The base was becoming more and more stable day by day. At the same time, on the sea of the capital, many islands were also being built. It was also the base of the Crimson Emperor Group, and Saint Sisa had invested 1 trillion star dollars in it. The construction was amazing, and it played a key role in boosting the economy of the entire 36 cities. 3 months. For 3 whole months, Zhongli had been building on Earth. At the same time, he had also used a godly technique to refine the angel's tear into his parents' bodies. This greatly increased their life force, and they also had the strength of a representative. After 3 months, the construction of the Red Emperor Group on Earth gradually came to an end. The construction of the black market in Suhua City was full of vitality, but there were very few humans living in it. All of them were robots. Of course, these robots were just a substitute. When the construction of the entire city gradually reached its peak and obtained enough energy, this city would transform into an energy city. Just like the elite area, all the cities would be controlled by energy. Cleaning, transporting water, food, manufacturing, pipelines, and even teleportation were all done by energy. For example, if you wanted to go out, all you had to do was press the AI chip, and energy would appear in front of you and wrap you up. Then, you would be able to reach your destination at lightning speed. Or, if you needed manpower for your research, some researchers with energy bodies would immediately appear in front of you to faithfully complete all tasks for you. People with energy bodies could transform at will, and their abilities were much stronger than ordinary people. In addition, if you were sick and needed to undergo surgery, an energy operating table would immediately appear in front of you. Then, many medicinal bioenergy would begin to seep into your body and repair your body. In addition, if you wanted to eat, the chef with energy bodies would immediately prepare all kinds of gourmet ingredients for barbecue, stew, fry, and so on. If you didn't like these food and wanted simplicity and convenience, then a wave of bioenergy would be directly poured into your body, and your body would completely absorb it in a second. For example, Jiang Zhendong was in a laboratory right now. At this time, Jiang Zhendong was tired of research and immediately sent a message to Moses AI. According to my body structure, what nutrients I need, mix them into energy, and send them into my body. Buzz, a beam of light appeared on Moses' AI and shone on Jiang Zhendong's body, analyzing the data. Body lacks water, lacks vitamins, lacks bioenergy, organs activated. In an instant, the metabolism of Jiang Zhendong's entire body and the structure of almost every cell were thoroughly analyzed by Moses' AI. What nutrients and vitamins he needed were all clearly understood, and according to the most scientific analysis, Jiang Zhendong was supplemented. Whoosh! A beam of light shone down. It was powerful bioenergy, and it poured into Jiang Zhendong's body. His slightly hungry body was illuminated by this light, and in an instant, he was full of energy. Then the light took away the impurities in his body. He felt refreshed, and every organ was nourished. This was more effective than eating rice or even swallowing the essence of the sun and moon. This was because every energy baptism was the most perfect energy supplement that Moses' AI had evolved for his body. In fact, if one didn't eat for a long time, the human body's gastrointestinal function would degenerate and even become pathological. But how could Moses' AI ignore this problem? When bioenergy was infused, there's also a kind of energy nourishing the organs, making them always at their strongest. The key was that this kind of bioenergy infusion basically didn't have any food residue, and it would also take away some waste gas from the body. This kind of eating method was already the way of high-level life forms. Whether a creature was clever or not depended mainly on what they ate. However, this kind of method could only be carried out in Jiang Zhendong's laboratory, and it couldn't be controlled by the entire Crimson Emperor Corporation. This was because the energy required was too great, and one Moses' AI wasn't enough. A more powerful AI, or more AIs, were needed to be able to keep up the calculations. Jiang Zhendong engaged in scientific research every day, and a large group of scientific talents had gathered around him. These scientific talents gathered together and ate like this every day. This kind of baptism was extremely beneficial. At this time, Jiangli returned to Starry Sky University a few times and gave all the resources to Little Darch. Little Darch once again received many sacred and immortal stones, and his cultivation was getting deeper. Jiangli felt that he could break through to the Saint Realm at any time. However, Little Darch hadn't broken through yet, so he had to endure it. He used the blasphemy bug to steal Saint Sice's power step by step. Days passed like this, and Zhongli saw that the Crimson Emperor Corporation on Earth was completely on the right track. Serene and Luohan went to the Soldier King training camp, and his sister followed Marshal Goliath to fight on an alien planet. Everything was developing in the best direction. In the Queen Mother's base, Jiang Li and Little the Arch were having a final discussion. Unexpectedly, Chen Tianshu and Chun Zhenghua were both cultivating inside, and seemed to have approved of Little the Arch. However, the Infinite Universe map hadn't been integrated into the Queen Mother yet. Obviously, the two were still wary. Little the Arch, how did you hide it from Saint Sisa? Jiang Li was very excited, because if he truly believed in Saint Sisa, his every move would be clearly sensed by Sisa. Believers had no secrets to God. But now, Saint Sisa couldn't sense what he was thinking at all. Of course, Saint Sisa could sense the mind of the blasphemy bug at all times, and the mind of the blasphemy bug was deceit and blasphemy against God. What Saint Sisa had sensed was all fake. All the feedback she had received was fake. It's actually very simple, Little the Arch said. I told him that you obtained the dragon race's treasure book and cultivated the dragon battle body. Also, you obtained some good things from the dragon race and can communicate with the dragon dimension. Through the sacrifice of a lot of energy, you can open the dragon dimension and draw in some mysterious power. At first, many people thought that you had a big shot behind you, but Saint Sisa got the news and thought that you were using a huge amount of energy to sacrifice to the dragon dimension, allowing its power to descend. Coincidentally, I unlocked the technology tree and obtained many dragon bloodlines from the Queen Mother's memories. I also learned about a mysterious dimension, the secrets of the dragon dimension. I sent some information about this dimension to him, and he's now studying it. There are countless powerful existences in the dragon dimension. Although there are treasures everywhere, it'll be very dangerous for him to enter, and he might even die. Right now, he doesn't have time to worry about you. He'll probably go to the dragon dimension in a few years. And in a few years, I'll have hope of killing him. Let's go to the cultivation world together and establish our own power there. Only in the cultivation world can we kill Jiang Nailin. Jiang Nailin. Jiang Li's eyes burned with rage. If he didn't get rid of this person, he would be like a sword hanging over his head, ready to fall at any moment. Bang! In the base of Treasure Trove Planet, the Jiang family once again held a large-scale meeting. This time, the meeting was different from the previous ones. Many of the Jiang family's higher-ups were present, including the family head, Jiang Wuya, and Jiang Haiyang, who was running for president this time. Haiyang, this time, Jiang Zhendong actually got Saint Sisa's favor and invested in his Red Emperor Corporation. Is it clear that Saint Sisa wants to go against the Jiang family? Why is that? Did you find out? The family head, Jiang Wuya, asked Jiang Haiyang. Jiang Haiyang was a second-generation expert, the same generation as Jiang Haitian and Jiang Hailong. He was much lower than Jiang Wuya, but with his current cultivation, he was the Jiang family's #1 expert after Jiang Nailin. His vitality was 108, reaching 3 digits. He was the most popular candidate for president. Therefore, he was only able to stand up to the family head. Facing Jiang Wuya's question, he didn't move at all. He just sat there and said, "This time, I've already asked around. It's a good thing." That little bastard from the Jiang family was so short-sighted that he chose to worship Saint Sisa in order to gain some benefits. Good. Hearing this, Jiang Wuya's eyes shone with joy. That little bastard is nothing to worry about. He's seeking his own death. He's giving his soul to someone else. It's like he's going to die for small benefits. At first, I was worried that he was someone like Saint Nailin. But now, it seems like he's no match for Nailin. From now on, he's useless. When he defeated Gue Junzi and Jiang Hailong, we were shocked. We thought that a peerless genius was born, but then things changed, and he cut off his own path. A few of the Jiang family members laughed. It seems like the heavens are helping the Jiang family. That Saint Sisa is very sinister. That Saint Sisa is quite sinister. She chose this moment to throw an olive branch at the little bastard, causing him to be at a loss. If he refused, it would be a slap to the saint's face. He wouldn't even know how he died. If he didn't refuse, it would be destroying his own future. After thinking about it, he chose a good path. Jiang Haiyang shook his head. This is the tragedy of a nobody. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.